really happy to have you all here. I remember when I was a young kid, I wish I had more opportunities to meet people like you're gonna meet today. I'm a kid from the Bronx, from Allenton Avenue, around that area. So I definitely understand that these opportunities don't come up a lot, and I want to make sure that you take advantage. So when you do have questions, or if you want to meet some of the folks after, please reach out to your contacts, and we'll put you in touch with the folks that are on our panels, or if you're just looking to have a conversation with somebody that piques your interest in their profession. So thank you again for joining us. And I'm not going to take too much time, but I want to take this time to also thank our hosts, thank our speakers, and on behalf of Beta Fashionista Foundation, we hope you have a great time and enjoy the programming. I'm going to take this time to welcome Dr. Eddie Bayader, the Vice President of External Relations here at Hostos. Thank you. Bronx Community College, sorry.
Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking my colleague from Hostos for hosting this wonderful event, and a huge thank you to our fearless leader. Where is she? Clarissa, for her vision. Oh, there you go. Her vision and commitment to prepare the next generation of change makers across the country, and particularly in the Bronx. My colleagues, Irene Delgado, Ana Mendieta, Tarantino, we want to extend a welcome to all of you on behalf of Bronx Community College. We congratulate you on making the decision to attend this forum. We believe it's the first step. The first step is being present, and you're already a winner by being here. Do you have any commitments? Schoolwork, helping your family, and some of you may have a part-time job. Yet, you made the extra push to be here because you believe what you will learn today will prepare you to successfully enter the world of work. We want to expose you to places you haven't been, expose you to new ideas, expose you to role models. All are important to your future. As I close, here are a few things to keep in mind throughout the day and things that can help you in life. Now, what I did is I put the list, there are 12 of them, and I decided last night to number them. So number one is be on time. That means being there a few minutes before. Number two, dress up according to where you're going. Number three, put your phone away when you are in a meeting. Number four, have an open mind. Number five, be a good listener. Number six, ask questions. Number seven, work hard and work smart. Number eight, I gotta find your number eight. Don't give up if you try something that doesn't work. Keep trying. Number 10, don't take credit for someone else's work. 11, make friends. And finally, 12, find a mentor. You've got lots of folks here who can mentor you. A mentor will help you throughout life. Finally, I cannot stress enough the power of relationships and networking. Enjoy your day. Now, my greatest pleasure to introduce my colleague for many years, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, buenos dias. Rain or shine, we're here, right? That's important. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you here to Hostos Community College, nuestra casa es su casa. I am deeply thankful to Bellas Fashionistas for including us in this beautiful program where we have so many young people who aspire to become professionals and to be change makers. My name is Ana Garcia Reyes. I am from the Dominican Republic, Dominicanita. It is indeed Great to see so many young faces here who aspire to become leaders in their respective communities. I know that we have different high schools here, and I am deeply thankful to Felicel for making us part of this program, and to our admissions team, Dean Carlos Rivera, who unfortunately is not here because he's taking care of some commitments. He's in Washington, D.C. But we have a wonderful lady here who's the Vice President of Continuing Education and Workforce Development. She's very dynamic. She studies very hard, and she makes sure that when she comes to a place, she leaves the place better than how she found it. She's one of those individuals who gets up early and leaves late. And she's very responsible. I admire and respect her a lot for everything that she has done and for being a great colleague and a great mentor for students. Please join me in welcoming our Vice President of Student Development and Workforce Development, Dr. Evelyn Fernandez Ketchum.
This woman here, she is so kind with her words. Everything that she said is everything that she is and some. And Dean Garcia is everything. She's like, I call her the encyclopedia of anything Dominican. Any Dominican, you want to know anything about Dominicans, she knows where they are. If they're under a rock, she'll tell you that they're under a rock. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want all the young people to stand up. Stand up if you're here. Stand up. Stand up. Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, okay, good. You So let's get the ball started. Thank you so much for being here. And Eddie just said that part of life is showing up. So some people say that it was Alan, a filmmaker, that said that 80% of the time, in life, 80% of the time is showing up. And in life, as time went on, we increased it to 90%. So today I think we're saying that 99% of the time is showing up. Young males that are here, because we took care of the bellas. I want young males, please stand up if you're here. Young males, I need you to stand up because you were brave to show up to an event that said Bellas Leadership. So handsome young males, thank you for showing up. So I am Evelyn, and I am Vice President of Continuing Education and Workforce Development here at Ostos Community College. On behalf of our president, Dr. Daisy Coco de Felipes, I want to welcome you to our home, Eugenio Maria de Ostos Community College here in the South Bronx. We are, I believe, can fact check me that, we are the only school in the nation that has a namesake. If you don't know anything about Eugenio Maria de Ostos, you want to learn, look him up. He was ahead of his time. He believed in advancing women's education. And he believed in advancing. Today, his remains are in the Dominican Republic, even though he's Dominican. And he said, do not take my remains back to Puerto Rico until Puerto Rico is free. I gave goosebumps. But anyway, so you are in a very special place. And once you are connected to Ostos, you are part of our family. So welcome, and I know you're in for a great day. Participate, take it all in, ask lots of questions, and we're here for you. Enjoy today, and thank you.
Perfect. And then not last but not least, our executive director and founder of Bella Fashion. I'd like to introduce you to Clarissa Bello. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ooh, I love this. I went away for 2 minutes and now we have a full room. How about that? No, I'm serious. It looks very different from before. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you again to Dean Garcia and Dr. Bayardao for doing this, for looking at my crazy vision, to be able to bring some light, bring some, to educate, to empower, and to uplift our community of the Bronx. I'm going to share something very brief because I know that we're running behind time. And I came to this high school. I graduated in 99. You could do the math, it's okay. I graduated in 99. I came to Hostos Lincoln Academy when I was 15 years old, right? I did sophomore, junior, and senior. And when I was 12 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. How many of you guys know what you want to pursue in your next career? Raise your hand. Okay. All right, that's good, right? And I started working in my career at age 15 by the grace of God and by my parents' network that I doubted. I came from DR when I was 10 years old, and I said to myself in one of those hot summers of the 90s, early 90s, I came in the early 90s, there has to be something more than me watching TV all day during the summer. Now, you could imagine who in their mind, and this is me thinking back to when I was 12, who in their mind would be thinking that of watching TV all day, right now? It's the summer, we want to have fun. I was watching TV all summer, but I said, I need to do something different. So what inspired me to be a film producer was watching all of those video channels from MTV. I don't know if MTV is still around. No? Okay. And you know, and I was inspired by those backup dancers, by the artists, by the reporters. I said, I want to be one of those. But when I went to my 11th, I think it was 6th grade, our teacher asked us to do a research on our career, on where that would end us. And I did. So I told my father when we should arrive from the Dominican Republic, because they had a very extensive network in DR, I said, Dad, I want to become a film producer. So mind you, my dad was putting away his clothes in his closet. He's very organized. He's an accountant. So accountants are very organized. And then he looks at me and he continues like, my daughter, like, how am I going to get you into that industry? I don't know anyone. Now, if you talk about DR, yeah, they do know. And you know, my mom is a doctor, so they really were very strict with me. And in my 30s, I thank my mom for being strict, because I wouldn't be who I am today if my parents would not be strict with me. Raise your hand if you agree or disagree. I know times are different. But there's a research saying that when the parents are very strict with their kids, they become leaders and they become more perseverance. They have so many attributes and characteristics that makes their personality. So when I did that, I started working in my career, and it was about every other job, because I spoke to my aunt whose friend or my teacher whose friend actually in the school had taken the time to talk to me and identify what my career path is. And they were like, oh my God, I have a friend, or my best friend has a company. And you know, and when they said that, I just said yes. I never said no. But let me tell you one thing. When I was Hostos Lincoln High School, which I think it still exists, right? Okay. It's a science school. So I did my first internship at Lincoln Hospital. Talk about a full circle. And to me, it's inspiring because I had the network that I didn't think I'd have when I was a teenager. And then what happened is that I graduated high school. I was ahead of my peers. I was very proactive. I was working in my career, and then I ended up working full-time because, you know, I need to pay for school, so you need to work full-time. And it took me 8 years to graduate. But 8 years were work and well worth it. And if there's anything that I want to bring when my network comes up to me and tells me, Clarissa, we want to bring more people that look like us into these corporations, but they're not prepared. And what Dr. Bayardel said tonight, it's very important. So there's one thing of the many things that I would like for you to gather and capture, like absorb as a sponge, is everything that's going to happen today is mind-blowing. I wish I had this when I was in high school. I wish I did. And every person that has sat in the panels, we've done this at Montclair, we've gone to Dallas, Texas twice by the grace of God, and we have been empowering, connecting students to opportunities, to internships, to mentorship. This is what I want. And you know, for me, I said I need to do this in New York, but I want to do it, you know where? In the boogie down Bronx, because that's where I'm from. And then I gathered with some of my colleagues here, and I said, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this. And they said, okay. Dave Garcia, okay. Dr. Bayardel, okay. And you know what? For me, it's a full circle. because after I graduated high school, I went to BCC for 2 years. Talk about full circle. And it's inspiring to be here. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to bring this to hostels, to bring this in partnership with both of the schools. My alma mater, because I tell people, I came to hostels, I went to BCC, and then I went to Hunter. I'm a CUNY alumni, and I'm proud. And you know what? And I'm from the Bronx. And you know what? And we have interviews, and we came out in the news. And and I want to show people that there's so much talent in the Bronx. Yes? Hay tanta gente que da de café. Do you guys want coffee? Or did you guys have orange juice? No? How's the continental breakfast? Is it good? I make sure that we got bagels. Because New Yorkers love bagels. But if there's anything, I want you to understand it. I don't know if any of this is resonating with you today. I'm back in hostels, guys. Yeah. I'm back at BCC, and I'm doing it in the Bronx. And for me, it's so satisfying. It's such a mixed emotions to be able to be here. Full circle, completely. High school, college, and then doing this in the Bronx. You know what? For you. Because you matter. Because I want to see you guys succeed. Because it's sad when I walk into these places that I don't see people that look like me a lot. And Bellas Fashionistas, there's a bag. I want to thank all the sponsors. If we could have that clicker going to the next slide. Our sponsors make this possible. Lincoln Hospital made this possible. I want to be able to thank Azar Design and Co., who's right here. I want to be able to thank Goya. We have baskets from Goya's, guys. Did you get raffle tickets? No? Yes. No? Yes. I think that we need to give you guys some soda. No? It has sugar. No, I'm kidding, I'm joking. So, who wants to take one of these baskets today? No? Yeah? You see? Talk about, yes. Who wants those baskets today? Come on, who wants them? Yeah? Make sure you have your raffle tickets. Make sure you have your raffle tickets. If you didn't go, you better go back to registration and get those raffle tickets. We're going to be raffling 3 Goya baskets. We're going to be raffling 5 bags from Bronx Community College, from the Office of Career Development. I want to thank Con Edison. I want to thank Clear Citizens Bank. We have 4 tables downstairs. So that's Con Ed, that's Citizens. We have Alpha, which is a nonprofit organization. So what we bring in today, aside from all these corporations, and we have Lincoln Hospital that has a volunteer department, and they're here. So if you're interested to do any volunteer work for those sciences who want to pursue a career in the science, please do go downstairs. Please, if you want to pursue a career in banking, they're taking information for internships in the banking industry. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that. We do have the Dominican Bar Association. We have Bronxnet El Diario. And we also have Latinas in beauty and Coca-Cola, who sponsors soft drinks and water. And yes, my team does this all the time. I'm coming. But I just want to encourage you, ask questions, write down. We have an incredible workshop development that Clarissa, the lawyer Rodriguez, is going to be conducting after our keynote speaker. We have an incredible lineup of speakers. I do encourage you to please ask questions, scan code for their bios, and if you want to connect with them, we have one-on-one matchmaking, so you can go back outside and sign up to speak to one of the speakers from here. If you want to connect to Connecticut, you can do so. Just go back outside and sign up for the one-on-one, and then for the expo, it's going to be running from 9:30 to 3. And the speaker, the one-on-one is from 11 to 3, okay? So without further ado, I want to introduce our keynote speaker. She is a Latina. There's only 2 Latinas who are running hospitals in the state of New York. 2. And these ladies inspire me every day because it takes a lot of courage for a woman, for first of all, and then a Latina to be running a hospital. And I want to, she's an incredible woman. If I start today, I will never finish. But she is someone that I truly admire. She has many titles, and one of them is she's a licensed social worker. She's a Latina Dominicana who comes from humble beginnings and has reached success to be able to be where she is today. And I want to introduce someone that I truly admire. She doesn't know this, and if she doesn't, and now she does. And her name is Cristina Contreras. She holds many positions as a board member, formerly the chairwoman for the Dominican Day Parade. So if you see the Dominican Day Parade, she's the one that runs it. And many more, because many more titles, because I'll let her tell you those titles, because she has an empowering presentation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm not going to go into the titles because it's not about that. The reason that I do hold many titles is because I like to do a lot of community work, and I like to help others and help my community, and because of that, I'm involved in so many other different things. But I'm here looking at you and talking to you from a different perspective. So, hold on 1 second, let me see. So one of my titles is not technical, as you can see. But first, I want to thank Flechier, for putting this together. I was looking at the agenda. You have a powerful summit. This is very, very interesting, and take advantage of that. Not a lot of people put something like this together, and it's good for us to take advantage. I know that she thanked all the sponsors. I'm not going to go into the sponsors, but I'm going to highlight someone that's here supporting us, and someone from the community. It's a community business, Monica and Rohan from Manhattan Wine Spirits, are looking supporting. Thank you for coming. It's small things like this that when we come together, it makes it more powerful. So when I was asked today to do a keynote speak, I was trying to think of the many things that I can share with you. I wanted to make sure that it was something that makes sense and that you can take something with you today. And I decided to share my journey, and I want you at the end of this presentation to be able to own your own stories and to embrace your own power. And that's going to make a little bit more sense when I go through my presentation. But it's important because even though we have a lot of similarities, there's certain things that are different, and I learned a lot through my journey. And I know that one of the things that we always think about is that we have to have our own experiences, but as young minds, brilliant minds that you are here, especially a lot of women, minorities, I'm always advocating for you. I think my main purpose in life has always been trying to empower you, because we have to support each other. But I want you to understand that you don't have to go through the experience to learn. I'm saving you a lot of money and a lot of experience and headaches. So take advantage of that. So the first one, and let me just do the clickers. Okay. Okay, good. So what would I say to my younger self? There's a lot of things that we can say to ourselves back in the day when I was starting, when I first came to this country. I came when I was 15. It's similar to a lot of people. So I wasn't born here. I was born in the Dominican Republic. But in my journey, looking back, I think, what would be something that would really make a difference in my struggles, in my challenges? And there could be many things that we can tell our younger self. But the truth is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of us don't listen to the older people anyway. But looking back, I think that one of the things I can tell you as minority women or youth, you have to think of yourself, and you gotta think that you are enough. A lot of the times we don't think we know enough. We don't think we're competitive. We don't think that we can be in certain places. We don't think that we belong, and that's wrong. You really need to think of yourself differently. And it starts with you. I can stand here and tell you how wonderful you are, how meaningful you are, how great you are. And guess what? If you don't believe that, it's not going to make a difference. And I'm telling you because I was there, and the reason I'm telling you is because, again, this is my journey. You are having your own journeys right now. I'm just sharing what I have learned and the difference that it makes. hoping that you take that and translate that into what makes sense to you. Some of my experiences will be similar to you. You know, some of you I heard different high schools, which is amazing, right? That's great. When I went through my high school I had a lot of challenges. I have best friends now, back from high school, that will still remain friends. And guess what? My struggles, they didn't even know. They didn't even realize what I was struggling and the things that I was going through. So as much as you think we're very different, we're not that different. And one of the reasons that I decided to start sharing my journey and my story is not because I was going to get something out of it. As a leader today, it really doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't really add any value to me to share my struggles and my journey. But the reason that I started doing that is because one person that's currently in this room, but I'm not going to say who she is, told me, I said, why would I share my story? And she told me, she said, it's not about you. It's about everybody else. Everyone else that can hear you and relate to that. And maybe they're struggling and they're going through a lot. And they hear someone like you in a position like yourself and realize that that's possible for them too. And guess what? Something clicked and I realized it's true. It's not about what it does to me. I was going through a process and it was very hard for me to even share my struggles. And I didn't want people to look at me like that. And I wanted to disassociate myself from that. But the reality is not about me, it's about you. So hoping that this makes sense to you through my discussions. So obviously you convince yourself you are enough. Don't let fear or doubt define your path. That's very powerful. At the end of the day, most of us, and I'm telling you from me, I start with me, you think that because people do certain things is because they're not afraid. That's not true. You don't think I'm afraid to stand here in front of you? Yes, very afraid. I am. I have to be honest with you. And being honest is to help you so you know that being afraid doesn't mean that that's going to make a difference. You can be afraid. The difference becomes when you do something regardless of how fearful you are. That's what makes the difference. That's the difference in the percentage of people that make it and the people that don't make it. Because we can be afraid to take a chance, afraid of doing something, afraid to go into college, afraid to do this. And either you do it, even though you're afraid, or you don't do it. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Well, the clicker wasn't working. So our culture is our superpower. Why I say that? Because a lot of us have different upbringing, different backgrounds, and you know what? Sometimes, and again, remember I keep telling you, going back to that, because I don't want you to think I'm talking for you. I'm talking about myself. Sometimes you feel that did I go back to? How do you go back?
Onto it.
Hold on. Yes. Hold on. Okay. So sometimes we see that we feel that being a Latino is a weakness. You know, I'm a Latina, so it puts me in a disadvantage in a competitive world, and it's not necessarily so. I believe now, through my experience, my learning journey, that it makes me a stronger person. We have certain things that our upbringing makes a difference. Most of us, and you can tell me if you agree, most of us are raised to take care of each other. We take care of our family, take care of our younger brothers, younger sisters, take care of our moms, our dads. We take care of the community. We take care of everyone that we know. We are responsible morally to take care of each other. We're not just raised to just think about yourself and don't worry about the rest. That's not how we're raised. We're raised to take care of the community. And it could be your home. But that, gives you a sense, moral compass that tells you that you got to take care of each other. And that's a very good principle to have. And that's why I'm telling you, sometimes we think our cultural background and make us weaker. No, it makes us stronger. So you have to start thinking about that in a different way. The values that we are raised, we have to respect the elders. We have to respect each other. We have to respect our parents. We have to respect. That's important. And that you learn through life, and it makes a difference. How you relate to things, how you connect with people, how you interact with each other. Respect, empathy. And I'll tell you how empathy makes me a better leader. Again, I'm talking about my journey, but I want you to learn from my experiences and translate that to you. Yeah, they raised my smile from this picture. I used to smile a lot, but because the topic is struggles for strength, I know black hair. Listen, I think I look better with black hair, but that's just me. So strength, right? I struggle a lot, I told you. Even my upbringing, but that's a different discussion. When I came to this country, I struggled a lot. I was not only adjusting like a lot of people to a new country, language, school, high school was very different from those of you that were not born in this country. Our education system is very different from here. I had to adjust to what it meant, the flexibilities, the opening. There's a lot of things that I had to adjust while I was trying to not only learn the language, but figure out my situation because I was going through a lot and I was living on my own when I was 15, 16 years old, trying to figure out surviving, selling Avon, selling products, cosmetic, and making sure, guess what, the high school was my space that I felt safe. Going every day for that breakfast that most of you probably hate. Raise your hand if you hate the breakfast. I can't believe you guys. I look forward to that breakfast. And I look forward to that dry pizza. Not criticizing the lunch in high schools, but to me, that was it. Because guess what? When I came out of high school, there was nothing to eat. There was no warm meal waiting for me. There was no, come and eat and this and that, or something for me to even reject. There was nothing. So for me, that was the safe haven, the school. But the reason I'm telling you that is because the struggles make you stronger. They make you stronger because sometimes you value that, you learn. Some of us go, it's a 50-50. Some people go the easy way, some people continue the hard way. I chose to go the hard way. When I was going through high school and struggling, there was one thing I decided to do. It was like a choice, right? Every day I was tempted, and peer pressure, but that didn't work on me. I'm a very strong person. If you get to know me, people have to respect me regardless of whether I follow the lead or not. Nobody was going to tell me what to do. I have friends that were cutting classes every day. I have friends that were doing criminal things. I'm not going to go into that, but that wasn't me. I have friends that were doing the right thing. I have friends that were doing great in school, excellent grades. I have all kinds of friends, but Christina was Christina. And I was able to interact and relate to everyone. I kept to my business. I didn't have to judge people, but nobody could judge me. I was doing my thing, and I decided not to cut classes. I'm not saying that I was doing great. I'm not saying I was an A student. I wasn't. I was struggling. But I was there every day. I chose to be there every day because that made a difference. I felt that if I missed one day, I wasn't coming back. So I chose to stay and deal with the issues on a daily basis. But I think that made me stronger. I made a decision for myself. Everyone else was telling me what to do. I wasn't going to do what they were telling me to do. And today, I can say that it paid off. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone. But I'm satisfied with my decisions. And I'm satisfied with where I'm at today. So as a young mom, I was obviously I became part of the statistics before I graduated from high school. Guess what? A diploma and a kid. Not to help my situation, but did that stop me? No. Just because something didn't go as planned, it didn't mean that it stopped me. I continued my persistence. I went to college right away. I went to Lehman College. Yeah, and everybody's talking about, I didn't come to hostels, but I'm in hostels now. I went to Lehman College, and I was struggling, continued to struggle, but I never gave up. If you talk about struggles, man, I think I'm the queen. Remember all those titles? I'm the queen of the struggles. But I never gave up. That's one thing, you can never give up. And people would always tell you, not because it's coming from a bad place. I always talk about don't listen to the noise. And the noise is people giving you opinions about what you should do or shouldn't do. And that is not a bad thing. Sometimes our parents tell us, what to do, what not to do. Sometimes our friends tell us, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. You sure you want to do this? Have you thought about that? Oh my God. And that's all good. Most of us, when we ask for opinion, it's because we already know what we want to do. We want somebody to agree with us, right? Come on, guys, don't leave me alone here. I'm the one standing here, so you gotta make it easy for me. No, but the reality is we get a lot of opinions, and that's okay. You can ask for opinions, but you have to make the decisions for yourself. Ultimately, we pay for the consequences. And when I say pay for consequences, it's not a negative term. We deal with the consequences of our decisions every day. Do you realize that every day you make a lot of decisions? Raise your hands if you know that you're making decisions for your future today, every day. Okay, I'm glad to see that. Because it takes time to realize that every day, just choosing to be in the high school is a decision. Choosing to be here was a decision. Choosing to read, do your homework, or not do your homework is a decision. And nobody owns that but you. So just keep that in mind. You're making decisions for yourself every day. And you can listen to everyone, but ultimately, who makes the decision? Yes. You can do this presentation next. So don't hide your story. So this is very interesting. Own it. Again, goes back, a lot of similarities in some of the principles that I'm telling you. But again, this is my journey, how I learned. Even in my position now, I am the first Dominican to run a hospital in the nation. And that's very impressive. But what happens? I'm a Dominican and I'm a leader in the community, and I'm also a leader in the hospital, but I'm a CEO for everyone, not just for the Dominicans, right? But in the community, I do a lot of work representing my community. I'm very proud of where I come from. But there's times that people want to use that against you. They want you to apologize for being Dominican, or they want you to apologize for being a Latina, or they want me to apologize for being a minority person. And I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize. I got here and it was very hard for me to get here. I still continue to have to prove myself every day that I belong there. But no one is going to make me weaker. And there's struggles. Remember the Queen of Struggles? Yes, that's a new title. The reality is that every day you have to continue to own who you are. That doesn't make me a bad person. That doesn't make me a weak person. That's just the reality about me. But there's a lot of other things about me. I'm very determined. I'm a hardworking person. I'm very caring and empathetic. I'm supportive. I care about my staff. I represent everyone. Everybody. And that doesn't mean because I'm Dominican I have to apologize. That's just one of the characteristics. It doesn't completely define me. And I tell you that because there will be times when people want you to apologize about that, and you shouldn't. Oh, let me tell you. So vulnerability becomes visibility. That's a very powerful idea, concept, principle. Sometimes people need to see that you are real. People need to see that you have challenges, that you struggle. I'll tell you a little quick story. I told you I'm the leader of a hospital that has over 5,000 employees. And I don't know everybody. I still see people walking in the hallway. I say, oh, that person was from me, okay. And that's a reality. And I went to a coffee shop across the street, and I was waiting for my toast, my coffee. And a group of people, they get scared when they see me. And they say, oh my God, we can't believe that you're here. And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, I need a toast to survive the day. And they say, this is what we love about you. You're so real, you're everywhere. You're like, I don't have an amstructure of people opening the doors for me or whatever. And that's who I am. Doesn't mean all the CEOs are the same, but that's my personality. But people need to see that because I'm a real person. I understand the challenges they go through. I understand the struggles. I'm always thinking about the challenges, even how they get to the job, maybe the safety issues they have to deal with when they are having challenges with personal situations. I'm a real person, and sometimes that's what makes me a better leader because they can relate to me, and they know that I can understand them as well. Oh, this is very good. You don't need everyone's approval. That's important. This is very powerful. Why? Because at the end of the day, you need to stop living for validation. I know a lot of young people are always trying to make sure that their best friends approve, that this person approves, that they okay what you're trying to do. It's okay to hear opinions, but ultimately, you make your decisions. You don't live for everybody else. And remember I told you paying for consequences? And that's a positive too. If you follow your own path, you're making your own decisions, you're going to enjoy the rewards. Same thing if you make mistakes, and you make a mistake or do something wrong, you're going to pay for the consequences. Not your friends, It's you. So whether you need to break up with somebody or do something or whatever, do what you think is best for you. Make your own decisions, and I keep coming back to you guys because ultimately this is about you. Remember the topic I told you, owning your own story and embracing your own power? You're the only one that can make decisions for yourself. I can try to influence you in a good way, but I cannot make decisions for you. I have 4 kids, and I can't make decisions for them either. I hope that we do the basics, right? We create a framework. I'm hoping they see how hard their mom works, the decisions. I'm there to consult them, to advise them. But guess what? I'm here now. I don't know where they are. They're making their own decisions. I'm telling you. I'm not just telling you something that's not real. Prioritize your peace and purpose. We're going to talk about purpose coming up soon. And you're going to realize that when you start pleasing people, because some of us are in the business of pleasing others, that doesn't work. And you realize that. You realize that the more you try to please everybody, it never works. Trust me, I've been there. You can try to please 100% of people, and you can never do that. And it's not because of you. Sometimes we think it's about us, and we're trying to be liked, we're trying to please, everybody should be happy under my leadership. No. There's a 10% of people, sometimes 20, but hopefully 10, that are just miserable people. You think I'm kidding? The statistics are real. There could be 90%, and let's say 80%, let me just be fair in the market. 80% of people that are going to align, they're going to see your vision, they're going to understand, they're going to have respect, admiration, they're going to follow you. But there's 20% of people that are it's them. They're miserable, they don't get it, they're there to disrupt, they're there to destroy whatever, they don't even care what it is, even if it's something good for them. They're just going to destroy it. Are you going to be worried about the 20% or the 80%? You can't be the people-pleasing business. It's impossible. You're not going to please everybody. And if they're telling you, they're lying to you. Just keep that in your mind. Oh my God, this is it. This is the most powerful life that you're going to see, the most important principle. And if you learn this, you're going to survive in life. And I know it says no, right? What does that mean? No is a complete sentence. You know why? Because remember I told you I was going to save you $30,000? And 30 years and $30,000, right? Because going to college and therapy is the same thing. So no, why no is so important? And raise your hand if you have found yourself saying yes, and while you say yes, you're already thinking what you should have said no. Raise your hands. Somebody have ever come to and borrow money from you and you don't want to lend the money but you lend it anyway? Raise your hands. People ask you to babysit, do favors, and you're saying in your head no, but you end up saying yes? You know what that is? That we have to learn. It's a learned skill. It takes time. It's not easy. And it makes you feel very uncomfortable. It happened to me. Most of the time, people would ask you, and you know what? You don't have to give explanation. Did I tell you that? No, you don't have to give explanation. You just say no. I learned, and I was like, people came to, and their life is a mess. I'm not even going to say who. Let's say their life is a mess. They owe everybody money, and they're coming to me to borrow money. And you know what I said? No. Why? No, I don't have to explain to you why. I'm not a bank, right? But in my mind, the reason that I don't do it is because if it's a sibling, a relative, a friend, good friend, you know what's going to happen to the relationship? You just killed it. And they're going to tell you, oh, if you don't lend me money, you don't care about me. You know what? We may as well break it off now. And I save my money. Because it's going to happen anyway. Think about it. If the person has they make bad choices, their life is a mess. I'm not talking about emergencies. I'm not talking about emergencies, funerals, things like that. I'll tell you about that. But I'm talking about people not know how to manage their situation. They borrow money from you, but the same money they go and buy a bottle. borrow money from you, but they don't pay what they say they were going to pay. They pay something else, and guess what happens? And I'm telling you for me, then you torture because guess what? I feel uncomfortable about seeing the person and not asking them for my money. Or I'm babysitting kids that I didn't want to babysit. Or I'm stuck doing something that I didn't want to do. And meanwhile, I'm torturing myself. It's taking my energy. Just because I couldn't say no to you, and you don't care. You do not care. Because if you put me in that position, you don't care about me. That's the way I learned. You do not care about me. You're caring about yourself and getting your stuff done. And I'm trying not to say shit. Listen, I changed a lot of the language. But it's a reality. And when people are so disorganized in their life, you know, you can do 9 favors for somebody, and the 10th one you say no, you're the worst person. So I learned to say the 10 favors, and I said no from the beginning. Because if you truly care about me or you're my friend, you're not going to put me in that position. I'm very careful with my credit. I'm very careful with my loans. I'm very organized. So if you are disorganized or you have a problem or your priorities are not the same as mine, that's your problem, not mine. How is that going to become my burden now? I'm going to come and save you, and then tomorrow you're going to be the same, and then I'm going to be worried. Didn't she say she had problems and she's buying clothes? And I'm not buying clothes, and you saw how she spent the money? Again, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get into it. This is very powerful, but the reason I'm telling you that so you can relate to something that you can see every day. So it could be money. Now, if somebody has a situation, because it happens, and it's an emergency, somebody, you choose to give the person money, that's on you. It's better you give them a gift. Give the money that you could lose. If they're asking you for $1,000, you say, you know what, I can't lend you, but let me give you $100. That's it. So no is a very powerful tool. Learn to say no and not feel guilty about it. Say yes with an intention, not guilt. Protect your time and energy and peace. Someone that is worth it, you say yes. If not, you don't have to explain yourself. It's just a no. Walk in like you belong, because you do. Confidence. It's very important for you to feel that. I know it's not going to happen tomorrow. It takes time, but it makes a difference. For most of you who are now starting your career path, right? If you're going to look for a job, but you're already thinking of 10 different reasons why you're not getting the job, do you think you're going to get the job? No. Think about it. I get up, I'm like, I'm going to go apply for the job, but I'm sure they're not going to give it to me. They probably have somebody in mind. I'm going to go just because I want to say that I went, just to prove that I'm not going to get the job, and I'm sure, the next person, you know what, just stay home. Don't bother. Because if you have that energy, that's the energy you're going to convey. Sometimes you hire people not on qualifications, it's how they present themselves. They're so confident. They know they can do this. It doesn't matter what it is. And you're already looking, considering them. And even if you don't get that job, doesn't matter. The person already met you. They know you. People apply for jobs and you don't get them for that job, but you bring them back for another job. Because they impress you. But you make the difference. If you go with a negative and you don't feel competent and you don't feel that you can do the job, how are you going to convince me? I'm the employer. You have to convince me that you're the right person. And if you don't feel you're the right person, it makes a difference. Don't ever feel that you're in the wrong person, in the wrong place. If you're there, you belong there. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Because you're always going to find people that tell you don't belong there. And guess what? That's their problem, not yours. If I allow people to tell me where I belong, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't. And I still get people telling me I don't belong there. I'm telling you, it's very powerful. Speak up for yourself. Very important. A lot of you are waiting for someone to knock on your door and tell you how wonderful you are, how you deserve another opportunity, how you deserve extra credit. Guess what? It's not going to happen. It happens maybe 5% of the time. That you deserve a promotion, that you deserve the next title. Guys, no. You need to step up and speak up for yourself. Convince the employer, convince the business partner, convince everybody else why you deserve that. Again, if it doesn't happen, I believe in God. Sometimes there's been situations where I think I want something so bad and it's a perfect match for me and I want it and it doesn't work out. And sometimes just because we think we want it and we deserve it doesn't mean it's the right time for you. And later on, I see why God saved me. But again, you have to speak up for yourself. Don't wait for anybody else to tell you how valuable you are. You need to convince them that you are adding something and bringing something to the table. Culture is a strategy. Authenticity creates trust. Trust drives results. Family-oriented leadership. This goes back to everything I was telling you before. Our moral compass, who we are, makes a difference. I'm a leader, but I can go into a room and tell my team, this is what we're going to do. And they're going to tell me, oh, yeah. The minute I walk out, guess what I'm going to say? Yeah, they're laughing, right? There's probably some other people that say that. No, why? Because it's not about the position. You can have a title and nobody follows you. You can have the title, that does not make you a leader. It's not about the leadership. It's about the authenticity. It's about the building the trust with the staff. That they see that you follow through, that they see that you really mean what you say, that you believe in them, that you trust them, that you care for them. And guess what? Even when I'm not looking, they're following my lead. They follow my lead because I earned that. Not because I'm the CEO, because they're following Christina. It's not my title they're following. I've been in 5 different public hospitals. And I have people that follow me from Coney Island. I have people that follow me from Jacoby, from North Central, from Metropolitan. They're not following the title. They're following my leadership style. They like how I am, and they like that I follow through. That's important. You build that for yourself. And I know I'm coming to an end. So this is important for you. Build, lift, and empower others. Success is not a solo act. It's not. If I don't develop more leaders, if I don't develop you, if I'm not here, you think I'm getting paid for being here? No. Raise your hands if you think I'm getting paid. Maybe? I need to get paid soon, but now. The reason that I agreed to do this, she had a vision. She's always thinking about you, the youth. She's always trying to empower you. And you know what? If I can take some time of my life to come and give you something that you can take and become the next CEOs, then it's worth it for me. Because not a lot of people care about us. Not a lot of people take time. You have a judge here. You have a commissioner. You have people that are important here. Not because we don't have anything better to do. We're here because we care about you. And we hope that you take what we're telling you and make something of it for yourselves. Because even though I'm part of the 1%, I don't want to be the last. I don't want it to be the only Dominican. I don't want to be the only woman running a house. You have to be there. Choose courage over comfort. That goes back to what I'm telling you. Again, even if you're afraid of doing something, do it. I had to do something the other day that I felt very uncomfortable, and I realized how performers, actors, comedians feel. I did a fundraising in my hospital, and I was incentivizing everybody to pay the $5. I should have charged more. But I told them, guess what? Your CEO is going to be the comedian. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And as the time got closer, I was getting nervous. I was like, what am I doing? And the night before, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep because I was thinking, what happens if I stand there and nobody laughs? I was nervous, guys. So I can understand how performers feel, how comedians feel. But guess what made the difference? I did it anyway. I had a bigger purpose, and I did it. I stand there, and everybody was laughing, though. They asked me to come back. So power, influence, integrity. Control is an illusion. It goes back to what I was telling you about leadership. You can have the title and not have any power, but if you influence people because they trust you, because they believe in you, it's a very powerful tool, and it makes a difference, because you don't have to be in a room for somebody to follow you, somebody to trust you, and somebody to believe in you. And that's very important, because I cannot be everywhere. Growth isn't just upward. That's important, because sometimes you think that just moving up we're growing, but we're growing every day. We're learning. You learned something today, right? So we are learning, and we're moving up. Own your story. Remember what I said? Your story is your brand. Don't worry about having an accent. Sometimes I didn't want to stand up and speak because I was afraid of mispronunciation. I was afraid of my accent. Guess what? It's not going to go anywhere. It is what it is. So either I do it or I don't do it, but I chose to do it. And that gives me more strength. Even if I get nervous, I do what I have to do. Thank you to Bella's Fashionista. Thank you, hostess, for hosting this today. It was great. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here to lead, to inspire, and make history. And that's it, guys. You can follow me on social media or anything, search for anything that's coming up. Thank you, everyone. I hope you really found it helpful and they added some value to you. Thank you.
Please do. Please give her one more round of applause. If she didn't inspire you, this is why one of the reasons why I like her, she's so real. She's like, you can connect with her because she's one of us. And she's where she is in the sea level, but she's one of us. So thank you for bringing such a powerful speech. Thank you so much. Dean Garcia, you want to say something before? Yeah?
No, I just want to say to all that I hope you pay attention to Ms. Contreras because her speech was fabulous and it's very, very real. Her story is the story of many people, many immigrants, like me, for instance. When I came to this country, I had to learn English and I had to translate for my parents. Can you imagine that? Translating into a language that you didn't have command of. But her advice, her courage, her determination made it possible for her to be where she is. I have a lot of respect for you, Christina. And I hope that the students that are here learn from that you have to conquer your own fears and struggle. And make sure that when you have to stand up, you stand up and you speak up. And you try to get the best out of whatever experience you're confronting. So thank you so much for being here. I love you.
I'm here. I would like to know if Baldo is here, so he can connect us back to Baldo. We're just going to have the presentation of Sue. And thank you so much for those powerful words. Thank you, Dean, as well. I want to invite, as you see on your agenda, we have the first session, which is the panel discussion, where we're going to be talking about igniting your inner, what is that? Your inner power, right? We're going to be igniting you today. Igniting your inner power while breaking into your desired fields. And I would like to welcome to the stage, please, can someone get us Baldo? I would like to welcome to the stage our panelists who are here, and that's going to be Honorable Bianca Perez. She is the Associate Justice Appellate Term, 1st and 12th Judicial District right here, and a Bronx Supreme Court Justice Civil Term. This is an honor to know you, first of all, and a big deal. Then I would like to invite Gregory Carbarella, President and CEO of Azar Design and Co., which is Co., there is no and Co. And then I would like to invite Francesca Diaz. She is the Director of Bronx Regional and Community Affairs for Con Edison. Francesca. And the following is Marcos Crespo, Senior Vice President, Community Affairs of Montefiore Medical Center. Please come. And if someone could just get me Baldo, Jose Reyes. Oh, there you go. They're trying to put it up. Yay. Yes. I just need Baldo to provide us with the mics. I think they're somewhere here, right? And okay. Well, how are you guys doing today? Well, yes? Okay. They won. I actually just started drinking coffee. Yeah, I try to get Starbucks coffee because Starbucks gets me going. And if I don't have Starbucks, I don't start my day. Can someone get me Baldo, please? Thank you. I know he had to grab a bite to eat. But let's do this even faster. Why don't we get us some mics? And I know that they're in that table. So I don't know if Nelson is here. Okay. I'll just pass it around. So I'm going to share the reason for this panel. So the purpose of this panel is to bring to light your discovery of identifying, and I need glasses because after 40, that's what you do, right? Okay. No, that's fine. Your career path. These panelists are going to be sharing their challenges and what took each and one of them to push forward despite the circumstances that they face to move up the ladder. Our goal in this panel is to provide the importance of increasing representation and business opportunities for the next generation of leaders in their desired industry. So thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. I know it's a rainy day, but who cares, right? Nosotros estamos aquí y estamos seco. That's what someone said. Lenny, is your event inside or outside? It's inside, so don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And it is an honor, first of all, to know each and one of you guys. Thank you so much for your support and your sponsorship throughout the years. They all have an incredible story, and I'm going to ask them to share. So the first question is, please share information about your role at your company, your work, the company that you represent, the role as well, and as the important leadership responsibility that you hold. So we're going to start with Honorable Bianca.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Maricel. It's a pleasure to be here. You're getting me completely energized to run to work after here. I have a jury deliberating, and they have questions about how to fill out the verdict sheet. So I have to run in a little bit. But I am an appellate term justice. I hear basically all the lower court appeals. If you're familiar with the court system, the lower court hears the lower criminal misdemeanor cases, the housing court matters, small claims, and all cases under $50,000 if you're suing someone. So I hear all the lower court appeals. I am the first Dominicana ever appointed to that court. Trust me, when I was appointed, I couldn't believe it. And my understanding is a lot of the prior Dominican judges went straight up to the higher court of appeals. But I chose to work with the People's Court in the lower court, and I love it right now. I also am a hybrid judge, so I also do hear Supreme Court claims in the higher court. Because I guess there's not enough appeals in the lower court. Maybe the pro se litigants do not have attorneys, but the volume is not as high. So I kind of do both the lower court appeals and hear the Supreme Court trials. And that's what I have today, a Supreme Court trial that I thought would end yesterday. But the jurors are still deliberating and asking questions, and they're waiting for me. But I wanted to be here with the students and share my story.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm an architect. I'm president and CEO of Manor Design, and we are a group of architects and engineers. There's about 180 of us. Christine was talking about how not knowing 5,000, I don't know 180. So but I tried. But it's something that I guess in the back of my mind, you kind of think you have a vision that maybe this is what you're going to do, but it's generally not a clear path. So, but most of the projects that we work on are in the government sector. So we do a lot of work in facilities you probably use, facilities like this. We do a lot of college and university work. We also do K-12 work. Airports, and they've been LaGuardia or JFK, like we work on all projects there. And we're also working on the prisons and the jails that are going on here too. So we do a little bit for everybody. But say that in what I do, management and managing people and managing all those different opinions that you have every day is probably one of the most important things that I do.
All right, thanks so much, ladies and for having this event. I work for Con Edison. I'm the director of the Regional and Community Affairs Office covering the Bronx region. And in that position, right, I'm able to lead a very dynamic and dedicated group who is here joining me today. And the purpose of our role is to really build relationships, right? Build relationships with community stakeholders, with customers, with elected officials and beyond. And with those relationships, right, we help communicate different initiatives, different projects that the company has going on, and we're able to that way be a point of communication and a point of contact for just the customer, external stakeholders, and the company, right? With that, I should also mention that we are very active during storms. If you ever have an outage or see that a storm is coming your way or summer heat is coming your way, and we prepare very robustly in terms of preparing communications and working to help communicate what's going on if you have an outage in your home and wanting to make sure that you know when you're going to get your lights back, etc. So also very robustly involved in that, and I'm just thrilled to be here and completely honored to be sitting on a panel with such amazing individuals. Thank you.
Buenos dias, I'm Marcos Crespo. I'm a Senior Vice President for Community Affairs at Montefiore Einstein. Before I say anything else, I just want to give another shout out to Cristina. What she presented today, I need those slides. That presentation can be given to every adult I work with, and I assure you it'll be relevant. That was powerful. Do not trivialize every single slide and what she had to say. That was amazing. Look, I have a few other titles. My main role at Montefiore is to oversee our community affairs work. When Dr. Oswald became CEO in 2019, he was building a team. I was leaving elected office. I served in the state assembly for 11 years. Started my political career as an intern in 2003. In 2004, Jeff and I did that internship together. That's why he's clapping. In 2004, I took a job as an assistant to a state senator. In 2009, the assembly member I had interned for ran for Bronx Borough President. I was like, hey, so who are running for your seat? He says, you. I said, absolutely not. I had no intentions of being in politics, but the opportunity presented itself, and after a lot of conversations, I ran, got elected, and in the 11 years that I served, I was able to take on some key leadership roles politically. But in 2019, I made a decision to announce that I was not going to run for re-election. My children were getting a little older. My daughters were asking why I was never home, and that took a toll, and I knew I needed a change. And so this opportunity with Montefiore presented itself. And the reason, for me personally, that was incredibly powerful is that as a kid, my dream was to be an architect. But I was told you have to be good at math, and I was so afraid of math, I was like, forget it, there goes that dream. Then I was told, well, you talk a lot, you should be a lawyer. But when I found out how many years of school you had, I was like, forget it, I'm not doing that either. I was easily dissuaded from passions in my life, but because I was scared off. As Christina mentioned, we put a lot of self-doubt and we allow that to dictate fear, to dictate our decisions. You cannot do that, challenge yourself. But why Montefiore is so important to me? I grew up in Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico. I lived in many, many places, including Lima, Peru, where my father is from. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Peruvian. Went to 4 high schools, 3 junior high schools, 3 elementary schools. We moved around a lot. In '86, we moved to Lima. Papi was a commercial painter. We painted buildings and offices. I've never worked in an office in my life. I've only gone into offices to paint them with my dad, carry cans, buy lunch, you name it. In 1991, the economy tanks overnight in Peru. We don't have a dollar to our name. We moved back to a house in East Helmers that my father used to own, had been closed up. My mother's expecting my sister at the time and my 2 older brothers, and we're squatting in this house. No heat, no hot water, essentially homeless. My father's trying to figure out how to get back on his feet. A super at 3411 Wayne Avenue, one of Montefiore's buildings. We grew up in Queens at the time. We didn't come to the Bronx except to paint at Montefiore. The super calls the senior vice president of facilities for the system and says, look, one of my painters is going through a hard time. That SVP says, I have an apartment in our portfolio that nobody's been using. Let him move in with his family, let's get him working, let's see if we can help him get back on his feet. I moved to the Bronx because of that opportunity to end our homeless situation, move to the borough at the mercy and assistance of this senior vice president who didn't know us personally. That's how the Bronx became home. I started my political career, raised my family here, and fast forward all this time later, I'm a retiring politician wondering, what else do I do with my life? And here's this CEO now of the same system that gave us that chance, says, I want you to join my team because I want to have an impact in the community, but I need somebody who knows the neighborhood to help me do that. So guess what? He gives me the title of Senior Vice President of Community Affairs, the same title as the gentleman who gave us that apartment 30 years before. And I'm gonna blow your mind, 3411 Wayne Avenue, the building where that super used to be, where it was used to be apartments, that's where my dad came to kept a paint shop. That building is now offices. That's where the HR office was that I walked into to sign my contract. So I walk into the building, I cried for 5 minutes, I composed myself, I went upstairs, I signed my contract, I walked outside and I called Poppy and I said, you won't believe this. And the reason I share that whole story with you is simply that I was one of those, and I don't know how many in this room, raise your hand if you're not sure what you want to do with your life. And raise your hand if you do know what you want to do with your life. I'm impressed and good for you and God bless you, but if there's anybody in this room who doesn't know, the most powerful thing I can tell you to add to a lot of what Christina said is that opportunities will come your way. And even if you're not sure, or even if you have a plan, be prepared that life will redirect you unexpectedly. And it could be for greater things. And so the more you prepare yourself and build that foundation, know that opportunities will come. The question will be, are you going to be ready to take them when they come your way?
Back to full circle. I feel like there's going to be a lot of full circles today.
Sorry, that was a long intro, by the way.
No, but you know, okay. It was a long intro, but it was captivating. And you know, each and one of them, I look up to them, they don't know. There's a lot of people I look up to, and they don't know it. I just love it. And you know, they have been so, they look at me and they're like, Faye, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just doing it. And you know, I can remember a conversation, Marco, many years ago, a few years ago, one of them. And I'm like, Marco, I need to do something in the Bronx. And you know, and the first thing he said is, what do you need? And you know, the same with Gregory, and the same with Francesca, and my dearest honorable here. It sounds good to say honorable for Latina, first of all, and then Dominicana. But thank you for sharing those powerful words. I know that you spoke about discovering your career path can often be unclear. Thank you for sharing some of those, especially if you have a drive and skill set that or uncertain, and you were able to share some of that within your industry. Please share how you were able to discover. I know that some of you have touched on that, but how you were able to discover that career path and that inner that helped you succeed in your industry. And you know, and I love hearing your story about how you became a judge. One that resonates with someone.
I have someone in the room who helped me. So basically, this is a full circle moment because Marcos Crespo was the chairman when I was elected civil court judge. And as the Democratic Party leader, he obviously supported me and basically put me where I am today. And I want to thank him for that. Yes. But before I was elected judge, I don't know if I have time to talk about my entire career path. I started out wanting to be a police officer. I grew up in the 3030 in West Harlem, 141st and Broadway, which is nice now, but in the 80s, it was not. I remember calling the police, they never came when drug dealers were beating up each other. And of course, the police was part of the situation, beating up the corner turfer, you know, they were in their turf and they allowed things to happen. So what I wanted to do was be a good cop, and I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice at the time to pursue my my career as a police officer. And I got a 98 on the exam, so I was ready to go. At John Jay, I met, my landlord at the time said, why do you want to be a police officer? They were only making $27,000 a year. You might get shot, you might not live till you're 30, and she scared me out of it. And I met her sister, who was a lawyer, and her sister convinced me to pursue the career of law after John Jay. And that's how I decided to go to law school, right? Because you have to be a lawyer to be a judge. And then as a lawyer, I worked at a firm for 10 years. Basically, if anybody watches the Spanish TV, I worked at Hinante for 10 years. Yes. Yes. I'm very big. He's one of my biggest supporters. He's always helped me throughout my entire career, and he's still helping me to this day. The biggest thing that led me to be a judge was getting very involved with the Dominican Bar Association. You have to get involved with whichever association you can find a relationship with, either ethnic or otherwise. Dominican Bar Association, of course, as a Dominican, was the one that I joined, and after maybe 8 years on the board, on and off, I eventually got elected president. As president of the Dominican Bar Association, I was actually, at that point, approached to join the Democratic Party, to be parliamentarian of the party, and then I was asked to be commissioner of the Board of Elections. I was shocked when I got the call, but I think it was because of the work I did with the Dominican Bar Association and how active I was with the community and giving free legal workshops. And then, of course, the rest was history after that. One day, I applied to be a judge, and because of all my work with the community, I was, of course, supported by the Bronx Democratic Party, and here I am. And of course, I always wanted to be a judge because my old boss, not Hinante, actually Roberto Laracuente, he was Hinante's partner who passed away, would introduce me to all the judges. He introduced me to Fabiola Soto, our first Dominican woman judge ever elected in the state. And I always had that idea, one day I'm going to be a judge, I'm going to retire as a judge. So here I am.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, but it's not easy, and I think at the age most of you are, I didn't really know. There was a lot of decisions out there, but I guess one thing when I was young, we built a new house in the neighborhood, a lot of construction going on, and that always interested me. I spent every day running around and talking to the carpenters every day, and they're building these houses. I thought, oh, this is fantastic. So I was always interested in building things, and so that's how I came to this point. My parents wanted, well, you need to have a profession, right? So what profession involved building, so it was architecture. And so, although it's not a very easy thing to do, architectural world, right? So it takes a long time to become a licensed architecture, but I guess I always had that vision. I think in terms of career path, I think if you always have an eye on the end game, that's probably the most important thing, because it's not a straight line. There is no, golden pathway to get to anything. I think everybody here will tell you the same thing. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns along the way, and I think having that vision of where you think you want to be eventually, and you'll get there. But I think that's the most important thing, and I guess that's what I've got. I guess I just finally realizing that that's kind of how I got to where I am. I guess I didn't really realize I'd be running, a big company, being CEO, but I think it was always in the back of my mind.
All right. The path to my career, I would say, was very non-linear at all. In fact, it's funny you said you wanted to be an architect, because back in high school, I also wanted to be an architect, and I actually did an internship at an architecture firm downtown, and I had my mindset, then I go to college and I completely changed my mind. And I start studying finance, and I think, okay, this is the clear and set path for me. And that wasn't the clear and set path for me, right? Eventually I graduated, I guess, during the aftermath of the 2008 recession. And so years after that, I'm competing for jobs with people that were laid off that had 30 years experience. They're not picking me for the job, right? So I couldn't find a job in that field, and I ended up working for the Westchester County Board of Legislators. How? Because I networked, right? I ended up meeting a woman at church. She worked for Catholic Charities, and her and I got to chatting. She's like, hey, I know this elected official who's looking for some staff. Would you be interested? I'm like, politics, really? Not my thing at the time. And I'm like, well, you know what? I need a job. I need to somehow get a job. And essentially, at that point, I kind of fell in love with that public service side of things, and how the side of helping individuals and helping people. And so that led me to working for the mayor's office, and then finally I came to Con Edison, and the mayor's office in Westchester and Yonkers, actually, not New York City. But essentially, through that time, my path was very nonlinear. I still have a degree in finance that I don't use. So I would say adaptability is key, right? Whereas you have to kind of see, you might have a clear path for yourself and something you're really, really passionate about, and eventually you might do it. But sometimes things don't always work out the way you think they're gonna work out. And so being adaptable and being able to learn on the fly and being able to be open to new things, I think, is really important. And not just shut things out because that wasn't a part of your plan. So for me, clearly, I did not follow my plan, but I guess I followed my passions. And so when I started at Con Edison, I really wanted to bring that community mindset to the company. And I think that's where my mind is. When I do work on a day-to-day, that's what I think about.
That's piggybacking something Francesca said, that thinking about my path and all of the opportunities I've had in different roles, it's always been that network. You talked about mentorship. I will not be any of the positions I'm in, and I have several titles and organizations I'm involved with, but I wouldn't be in any one of them if not for someone else who I met along the way who believed in me more than I believed in myself. And Christina said something really, really powerful earlier when she talked about the confidence that you need to have, and I struggled to find that for a long time. And it was other people who saw that in me. But as you go in life, you will build a network. You've heard the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? People say that. And we assume that that network is only for the elite. It's not. And by the way, the most powerful people in your life may not be in a powerful position today. In other words, you walk into a company and you think that, no offense, right? Meeting the CEO is the one person you need to know. Well, guess what? Maybe not. Because the assistant in that office who might be working in the mail room will be the future CEO. You just never know. Anyone you encounter in your life. You know, Christina talked about the energy you put out into the world. Remember that sometimes people don't remember what you said to them. They remember how you made them feel. And so the better you treat people in your circle, the more people you meet and add to your circle, all of those are points of contact. And there's no telling where those contacts will be when you need them in life. But having mentors and having people you bring in and having people you're good to that'll remember how you impressed them, those are the people that will open doors for you in the future. My CEO met me because he saw me as the chairman of the Democratic Party at an event where 1,000 people were in the room, and I was the leader of the organization, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but he saw me working, and there was something he saw in me. So there were a lot of people that could have been SVP, people with better titles, better experience, but he gave me that opportunity because he saw something. When I didn't want to run for office, I didn't think I was political. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I knew enough about government or policy, or by the way, I also thought that I cursed too much and I was going to embarrass myself in public. Somehow I managed to never do that in public. But the self-doubt and all the things in my head about why I couldn't do something, it was other folks around me who encouraged me. So build a network along the way of people that are going to be in your life and treasure that. And maintain those. In a world of social media and internet relationships, LinkedIn contacts are never going to be the same as you taking the opportunity today to introduce yourself to Gregory, to Bianca, to Francesca, to anyone else that's here. and let us know what it is that you want to do in life, because those connections are the ones that are going to make a difference in the future.
Let me tell you something. Thank you so much for
I'm just gonna add to that. So part of the story is, so I came to this firm that I now run and actually own also through someone that I knew. So I've been working on my own, talking about ups and downs, struggles, 2008 and things like that. But and those will come. You need to kind of roll through those. But I was looking for work. I needed a job. I had 2 small kids. I was working for myself. That wasn't going that well. And it was someone that I knew at this firm that I own now that said, hey, why don't you come on over here and work for us? So that network is very important. You never know where it's going to take you. So that's very powerful.
That's how we started the conversation. And something that I heard of Marco was that Marco at the time was one of the most powerful politicians in the Bronx. That was the reputation of Marco.
That's what they say.
And you, what? I didn't hear.
He's in the Bronx Power 100.
But it's an honor because networking is key, and that's how I started sharing my story, that I was networking with my family, friends. That was all network. People next to you, you don't know. People are always watching you. My mom always says, never burn a bridge. Never. If you said to someone that you're going to do something, do it. It doesn't matter if it's your friend, your best friend, whoever, your teacher. You have to hold yourself accountable for your actions, because that's what's going to follow. The first thing people are going to think of, something, I need so-and-so. First person that's going to come to mind is that person who's going to meet those qualifications. And all these guys right here, not guys, I'm sorry, all these professionals here, they're award-winning professionals with their companies, Top 100, Judge, and my dearest Francesca, and also Gregory. Their companies are they're not only their reputation, but they have built such a strong reputation and credibility with their professions that have followed them to be where they are today. So thank you so much for that. And I'm not ending the panel, but we are very soon. Did you want to say something, Francesca? Okay. Now, I know that we have to wrap it up soon, but one of the things that I want you to share, thank you so much for those powerful words, because they do resonate. What are some of the challenges that you face through your progression? And also, what ways are your companies providing access to opportunities to the students? So very short.
Yes, I wanted to bring bags to give out to the students, but I didn't have time to stop at the courthouse before I came here. And I might come back later and bring the bags. I'm sorry. And I had information about internships, fellowships. But if you go into the www.nycourts.gov, you can look at careers, and there's fellowships and internship opportunities that you can apply to. Also, through the Dominican Bar Association, the Puerto Rican Bar Association, the Latino Judges Association, there's a lot of internships you can apply to as well if you would like an internship with a judge. We have the Dominican Bar Association has the Fabiola Soto Judicial Internship Program, and I know the Puerto Rican Bar Association has one as well, but I'm not sure of the name. Now, as far as challenges, there's so many challenges. I could spend the whole day describing them, but the biggest challenge I've had is of course other people competing for the same positions that you want. And all I could tell you is we have to just help each other, and just, if I don't make it, but my colleague makes it, I'll be happy he or she makes it, because not all of us can be, the next Sotomayor, right? There's only one Latina sitting in the highest court of the land, but we want it to be another Latina, right? So what we want to do is just try to just help each other out, give each other support, and hopefully one of us can make it. And I think that's been my hardest challenge, that not everybody wants to help the next judge moving up because everybody's competing for the same job, right? Everybody's competing to be the next Sotomayor, because who doesn't want to be there, right? I mean, she decides the law of the land. She is, or they are, the Supreme Court justices, the ones who decide our law. And not that I'm getting there, but just to give you an example, it's very competitive. We all are going to someday want to be where everyone in our circle wants to be at, but I suggest we all help each other. We all try to work to make sure one of us gets there, because otherwise, another person who shouldn't be there is going to get it because we're too busy fighting against each other. That's one of the challenges I've had.
I think, well, first of all, with the challenges, I think that you need to have the mindset that really every challenge is an opportunity. You need to flip that story. So, I guess one of the biggest challenges when I joined this firm in the late 90s and became a partner, and then the original founder retired and I took over. Bought the book or took over before you. Well, we were losing money, right? And so, a few things I should have looked at before I thought I didn't, but because all I saw was opportunity, right? And so at that time I said we're losing money. We were about 45 employees, now we're about 180, and we completely, flip that around. But I guess having that optimism and seeing those challenges as opportunities, I think you really have to keep that sort of mindset. I think Christina had said something along those lines too. In terms of internships, we do those. Generally, they're in the summer months when students are off from school. But we do those, and there are opportunities. Everybody's interested in that. We do those kind of things. The best thing is probably just to go to our website and start there.
All right, we're talking about challenges. And I would say in the same vein, right, you mentioned challenges and viewing those as opportunities, right? That is important, I would say, but we are going to come across challenges and things that might really try to put you down. I think when I started at Con Edison almost 12 years ago, it was a very male-dominated field. And the energy industry is a very male-dominated industry, right? So 12 years ago, I walked in and it was very male-dominated. So for me, that was a challenge. It was a challenge to prove myself. I felt like I had to work a lot harder just so that I could be noticed, like, hey, I'm here, be a part of the conversations and be in the room. And sometimes, I'm glad to say that things have changed significantly in the company, and I've noticed changes even outside of the company, so that's great and that's wonderful. But that was a big challenge back then. And so in that same vein, and I know Christina mentioned in her presentation, she was like, you should be able to say no. No is a full sentence, right? I heard no a lot, right? So you're gonna hear no, and I don't want you to take those no's and feel down on yourself and decide, hey, I'm gonna let that go. If you're passionate about something, those are going to be a part of what you hear. You might apply for a job and you might get a no. Sorry, we're gonna go with another candidate. That's happened to me several times, right? So don't ever feel like you're not good enough. Don't ever feel like your passions are not being seen. Just use those no's and propel them, use them to your advantage, right? You know what you have to bring to the table. So I think that's what I did, right? I was like, you said no, excuse me. And I would always ask for feedback. I think feedback is so important because maybe you're seeing something in me that I need to fix. And I usually, initially, would get a little upset with feedback. You thought that about me? But in retrospect, and when I think about it, I was like, that was really important feedback. That was something I should have taken from the beginning, and maybe I would have reached my goal so much quicker, right? So I do think critical feedback is really important, and it has really helped me achieve my own personal goals. But get used to the word no, but don't let it deter you, is what I would say. In terms of jobs and opportunities, we do have a table downstairs. I encourage you to come and chat with us as well. We do have internship job opportunities. You think of Con Ed, you think, hey, if I'm not into engineering, you know, there's no opportunity there, but it's a huge company. We do community affairs. One of our colleagues here used to do, you know, customer operations, and we have engineering, finance departments. It's a huge company for, you know, with many different multifaceted departments. So I would say there are a lot of opportunities to grow within the company as well, but we do internship opportunities, and also for people that are not interested, right, in going to college and just a trade, there are opportunities for you to join the company as a general utility worker. And a lot of the linemen that you see outside putting up wires on a pole, they started off as general utility workers and worked, you know, their way up in the company. And I think that's also important to know that trades are also really important and another option for folks.
Challenges. I mentioned self-doubt, and you heard a lot about that today. So the other one was that sense of belonging. That was my biggest thing. This idea that, well, I know how to paint an office, I don't know how to work in one, or, you know, I'm not smart enough to have these conversations. How many of you have ever been in a room or in a class and they ask a question and you think of the answer, but you hesitate because you think it might not be good enough, and then somebody else says it and they get applauded for it? You're like, that was my thought. Like, that feeling, I'll never forget as an intern. And there are internships in every field. At Montefiore, we have our website, the same thing. You could search internships and fellowships and volunteer opportunities in any industry. But I walked into, as an intern, into a members-only meeting at the time at the governor's office. Then Governor Pataki invited the Latino legislators for a discussion about Latino issues. And the assemblyman I worked for didn't realize it was members only. He made a fuss and they let me into the room. So I was sitting in a corner while they were at a table. And I don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but I remember desperately feeling like I wanted to raise my hand, like, please let me chime in, because I could not believe that all of these people who I admire tremendously, who were in leadership positions, who were accomplished and older than me and more experienced than me, were missing a key point. And I had it, and it wasn't my place to share it at the time. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized it was like pulling the curtain, that all of these people, the assumptions we make about the things that other people know are a facade, they're not real. And Christina talked about it. Everything you bring to the table, from your life experience, your cultural background, your academic strength, and however much you feed into that, you can find a lot of strength in that and really overcome that self-doubt and find that sense of belonging. So really work on that, challenge yourself to that, build a network, introduce yourself, find that the earlier you do that, the better you're going to set yourself on a path. And then a quick mention of one more thing that's key. She also talked about protecting your peace. That is so important. Every one of us could tell you stories about the challenges that our loved ones bring to the table. And we love them to death, and they're going to be in our lives forever. But our families, our friends, our network, the people that in your life can bring even more, especially for those of us in the communities we come from, right? We don't come from money. And as you start to do better, then people start to look at you and want to ask of you and depend on you, and you feel guilty, like, I can't abandon my community. There's going to be that balance that you have to find. Protect your peace. Believe in your path. You can't help others if you're not in a position to be successful yourself. And so really find that for yourself, and whatever that means in your network. But that stability will go a long way to helping you achieve whatever's in mind for you.
Wow. I don't know, but I feel empowered right now. Do you guys feel it? Raise your hand. No? Yes? Half of the room does. What's going on with the other one? We'll talk about that later. But thank you so much for those powerful words. I cannot even fathom. You guys are so inspiring, and I know if I feel inspired right now, each one of us here would too. To close it out, thank you so much again for those powerful words. To close it out, just one word. Call down one word of advice. I know you shared a lot. One word of advice for these incredible audience.
I think Christina said it all, and I didn't want to repeat anything she said, but one thing I always take is To me, no means yes. When you tell me no, I'm going to pursue it harder and harder, and I'm going to get it. So if you tell me no, translate it to a yes.
Yes. Woohoo!
Well, I agree with Christina's presentation, was amazing, but I think, and some of the other things that were said, but I think, first of all, showing up, being here today, developing a network, and showing up early, as was talked before. So you get a job, show up early, work hard, show that you are dedicated, right? You need to stand out, right? And there's so many, we hire a lot of people constantly, and it's pretty clear at the beginning who's working hard, who's going to have the right personality. I think those skills are more important than some of the other skills, that you can learn that. Even if you don't fit precisely into that job, but if you show commitment, that'll go a long way.
Thank you very much. Francesca, one word.
I know you said one word, oh man.
One, come on.
I guess be resilient. Be resilient in what your thoughts are, in your passion, and what you plan to do with your life, and follow that path as best as possible. There might be derails along the way, but don't let your shine, be dimmed by anyone else, and just be resilient in your own worth and self.
Thank you. Marco.
Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to be ambitious. Challenge yourself to do more than you think is possible, because I assure you that it is in you to do greater things than you can dream of.
Okay. And one more. Shut the noise and keep on walking. That's something that I can share as well. You know how many no's I got? I just keep on knocking. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Marco, Francesca, Judge, and Greg, for such powerful words. Do follow them on LinkedIn if you don't have an account. It's okay. But if you'd like to connect with them, please do go to the registration desk and make sure that you let them know. Thank you so much and have a great day. And now we'll be on to the next one.
You can email me or send me a message on LinkedIn if you're interested in an internship at the courthouse.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. And now I want to okay. Now we're going to have everybody stand up for a second. We're gonna shake. Our little hostess lady is gonna turn up the music right now. And I just want to do the shake dance, because you guys been sitting a lot lately. How are those chips? Do you like those chips? Yeah? Yes? No? Hi. We need to give you guys some soda, right? No? Come on, stand up for a second. Stretch out. Hands up. Come on. Yes, hands up, stretch out. While we prepare for the next workshop. This table over here, come on, stand up. Stretch out a little bit, right and left. There you go. You're so good at dancing here. Okay. Thank you so much. And now we're going to welcome. This is going to be ongoing. Yes. Yes, go ahead. If you have to go to the restroom, please do so. And when you get back, we're going to be preparing for the workshop. The workshop is a personal development workshop that is the hero code, lacking that leader within you. So how many of you guys were able to enjoy the conversations about perseverance, networking, these key elements, right? Being true to yourself, not allowing people to, so constructive criticism is important, but who is saying it and how they say it, it's also important, right? Because it could derail you from where you want to, from what you want to achieve. And I think that's very important. So those are one of the things that we need to learn to identify so that we can move forward, in our careers. And without further ado, I want to introduce our Vegas Foundation Advisory Board member, and she's also the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. Her name is Clarissa Rodriguez, and today she is going to be presenting, kicking off the Hero Code Workshop, helps young adults transform self-doubt into self-leadership by reframing adversity as the beginning of their origin story. Through real-world examples, participants you will discover today, that success isn't reserved for the lucky, right? It's coded in universal traits they can develop. So these are one of the things that you're going to be developing today and learning more about an in-depth identification of who you are and what career path you want to pursue. I would like to welcome right now Clarissa Rodriguez. Thank you, Clarissa.
Hello, everyone.
You have two, and now you have one.
All right, very, very good. Let me just make sure I'm all set up for you guys here. So, thank you so much for having me. This presentation is actually going to sound somewhat familiar to you because everyone that you've already heard from, first of all, so impressive. I hope that you're feeling inspired. But a lot of what they already spoke about, I'm going to be talking to you about a little bit here in this presentation. So again, I'm Clarissa. I'm an attorney. I used to be a state commissioner. I still work for the state, but I took a step down so that I can follow my passions, and you guys are sort of part of that. You'll learn a little bit more about my story. So why am I talking about the Hero Code? So the people that you've heard from today, how many of you think that they were pretty courageous as leaders? Raise of hands. Yeah, right? So you might also be thinking, wow, can I be like that one day as a leader? What does it take to be that leader? Well, I've been in leadership positions for a very long time in my professional career. And you're lucky because I think I cracked the code. Is it okay if I share that code with you today? Yeah? She's like, obviously, yes. All right, I'm gonna do you a solid. Let's see if this clicker works for me. All right, very good. So if we're gonna talk about heroism and leadership, we have to talk about the hero's journey. Who's familiar with the hero's journey as a literary technique, a storytelling technique? From movies, yes, some of you. Yes, from literature. Yeah, the hero's journey is something that is a very good story arc when we have action movies or anything like that, right? We always start with our ordinary world. We have a hero that has their ordinary life, sometimes a pretty boring life, but then something happens suddenly and they get the call to adventure. So the call to adventure could be a push or a pull in your life to actually step up. Something happens, maybe something not so great, but it forces you, our hero, to figure out who am I going to be in that moment. Do I step up and rise to the challenge? Or am I a little scared and I don't know if I trust my own abilities? But then eventually, to make a good movie, the hero has to answer that call, do they not? And the second half of that movie is usually that hero going through the journey, right? Going through the trenches, the messy middle, all of the battles, and learning some learning some lessons along the way. And becoming stronger, right? And it's usually that half of the movie and you're like, oh my God, how much are they gonna go through? Lesson after lesson, mistake after mistake, pivot after pivot. But what we learn in the final battle is, oh my God, everything that person went through actually was preparing them for this moment, to take on that final battle, right? To be transformed. And that's typically how it happens in our own lives. You are the hero of your own life, right? And you'll find through going through challenges that every single step, every mistake, everything was actually a lesson preparing you for that moment of transformation in the hero's journey. So here we go. This is the code, y'all, okay? This is what I have figured out after many, many years in leadership positions. There are 4 pillars to becoming your own hero. And I don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna be running through these quickly. The first is courage. Now I know that sounds so easy to say, right? It takes courage for me to be standing up here. I'm actually a little nervous because even though I have a 25-year-old and a 10-year-old, I'm kind of terrified of you guys. I don't know the lingo. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be cringe. I'm not gonna try. But I am gonna try and impart some of my leadership insights. So courage, right? And what I'm gonna be walking you through is why not you? Ownership. That means taking responsibility of your own lives. Because what you're soon gonna discover, or you might already know, is that no one is coming to save you. This is your life to live, and our loved ones don't get to live it for us. Dreaming big. We're gonna do a fun exercise where we're gonna dream big together, okay? And then at the end, we're gonna execute on that vision. Because what's the point of having a big, powerful dream if we don't know how we're gonna execute and how we're gonna get there, okay? So that's the code. Who's game? Who's game to play this with me? Yeah, a little bit? Okay, I see there's a little trepidation, but don't worry, I'm gonna win you over. All right, let's start with the first pillar of our code, which is courage. And I'm here to tell you that there's a very simple and easy formula for courage. Do you believe me? Well, actually, I will clarify. It's simple, but not easy, because the first step to courage is consistent, imperfect action. That means doing the hard thing time and time again when no one is looking, right? When you think it's not making a difference, but doing it anyway. Why? Why do we want to do the hard thing? Because for 2 reasons. It helps us build that muscle memory, right? If you've ever done anything, achieved something in your life that someone actually patted you on the back for, maybe they didn't know that you busted your behind for it, right? I remember being in college and a friend of mine saying like, Clarissa, you're so smart. Whenever the teacher has a question, you answer, and how do you know this? And I remember thinking to myself like, wow, this guy thinks I'm smart. But you know what's actually happening? I'm studying. So I said to Jose, I read the material, so I know what the teacher's gonna talk about. And when no one else is raising their hand, and I know I just spent all night reading, I can answer that question. What you think is smart is actually, well, maybe in retrospect it is smart, right? Because I was doing the work, right? I was putting it into practice. When I was a litigator as an attorney for many years, I would go up before a judge and I would give the arguments. And when that judge would ask me, counselor, what's your argument? I would get up there with confidence. But do you know why? Because I practiced. Because I know my argument backwards and forwards. I would sit and go over it and over-prepare. So yeah, by the time I was in front of that judge, I knew what I was gonna say. Why? Because I said it to myself 15 million times. Okay? So that's what I mean. When you do the consistent work, time and time again, that's what leads to confidence. And then when you have that confidence because you trust your own abilities, and you trust your own abilities because you did it over and over and over again, then you get to stand up here, there, or wherever with courage, right? And then other people will look at you like, wow, look at all that courage that she has. Actually, you know the secret sauce, right? Now you know the formula. And the question that I want to ask you is, you might be saying, well, Clarissa, that's great, that's you. You say you're not smart, but clearly you're brilliant. We've only been listening to you for 2 minutes and we get it. But I want to say to you, why not you? Is there anyone that you admire, that you know has something special, was born with a special extra chromosome or something that you weren't? No, I'm here to tell you, I've met a lot of people in my life in leadership positions, and they don't have anything extra that you don't already have here today. And I'm going to prove it to you as we go on. Okay, so why do I get the privilege of talking to you today? Here's a little bit of my come-up story, like you young people say. I was born and raised in Washington Heights, I from Dominican parents that emigrated here in 1970. And I was, they struggled to make ends meet. Both of my parents worked 2 jobs for most of my life. And even though I had other siblings, none of us, my older siblings, hadn't made it through college. So I was determined to go to college and become the first graduate in my family. What happened though, along the way, is that as young people, sometimes we make choices. And I became pretty pregnant during my last year of college, similar to Christina's story. And I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And at that time, in the 2000s, there was a big fear of teenage pregnancy, right? And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I became my worst nightmare. I became your typical teen pregnancy statistic who's not gonna make anything of herself and not gonna live out her dream. But somehow I powered through and I said, you know what? I've come this far, I'm going to finish. And that first picture there on the left is me graduating from college. It took me 5 years and overloading on credits, but I did it, and my daughter was born 3 days after my college graduation. And then, thank you. And then I decided to go to law school. I was working, now I had a daughter to support. I had gotten married at the time, mostly because my parents, kind of forced us. And I decided that I was flirting with the idea of going to law school. But what happened, I didn't feel necessarily that I was smart enough. But I did know one thing. I was working with clients at the largest food pantry in the city, and I didn't like having to constantly refer them to other attorneys. And I said, what if one day I can be that attorney that can actually really help my clients? And I remember running into a quote that said, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. I know it's kind of cut off there. But I remember thinking to myself, what if I decided that my life was going to expand in this moment? And I applied to law school. And that picture, that second picture in the middle, that's from 2007, when that same daughter walked across that stage with me for a second time, if you're keeping track, while she was 7, and I graduated law school. And she even got a tiny little diploma, so that's always gonna be one of my favorite pictures. And then, fast forward years later, I remarried. I have another daughter who's 10, so that's a picture of my current family. And you would think, wow, she kind of killed it in her family life. What about her professional life? Well, I'm here to tell you that shaped up pretty well too. Yeah, that's my wall, that's my home office, and that's my wall of fame. As a commissioner, I ran a state agency with 1,000 employees, managed a budget of about $220 million. I was nominated by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, and I've actually testified in front of the legislature several times through this very special, unique form of torture that's reserved for cabinet members during the budget process. But I tell you all this because one of the things that the pictures don't reflect is what I was feeling, my mindset at the time. You could see people's accolades and not understand that we too have fears, that we too, like some of the panelists have said today, we too have limiting beliefs, which is just fear-based thinking. So I want you to do an exercise with me right now, if you don't mind taking out your phones and scanning this QR code. We're gonna explore our limiting beliefs. I'm gonna take out my Slido here. And what limiting beliefs are, like I said, they're fear-based thinking that keeps you small. So I want you to explore, and I want you to be honest, because this is anonymous. I want you, let me not get in the way. I want you to explore, what are the things that we're telling ourselves? Which I am going to tell you right now, they're all lies. What are the things that we're telling ourselves that are keeping us playing small? That are keeping us stuck? I had incredible imposter syndrome. That same commissioner job I was telling you about, I felt I wasn't good enough. I actually rejected it when it was offered to me. I also had fear of judgment if I didn't succeed. I also felt when I was in law school, like I said, that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't going to be able to survive. So let's see what our limiting beliefs are. Okay, I see a few of you are chiming in. Thank you so much for participating. Yeah, some of the common ones that I outlined here are, I can't start until I have it all figured out. I'm not, insert the blank, I'm not smart enough, strong enough, I don't belong. Sometimes we feel like we're just the odd duck and don't really belong. Sometimes we don't want to try because if we fail, we just look foolish, or that's what we say to ourselves. Maybe you think you're a disappointment. Maybe you've already made some choices that were questionable in terms of your friends and family. Or maybe you think, I wasn't born with the same opportunities as everyone else, so how am I going to succeed? Or maybe you think, my otherness, whatever that otherness is actually a pretty big hindrance to my success. Thank you for voting. I'm just going to give you another couple of seconds. Does anyone want to share a limiting belief right now? Does anyone want to be vulnerable or maybe share one that I didn't outline here? I'll share one of mine. Oh, yes. Yes, go ahead, young lady.
I would like to say,
I want to give you, wait, can I give you a mic? Let me see. I had a handful of them earlier. Oh, right over here. Okay. Thank you. This way we can all hear you. Thank you so much. And then we can just keep this one here and anyone that wants to speak, just pass on. Thank you.
hello everybody. Oh,
Hello.
Hi. I go to Mary Curie High School. My name is Donna. One thing I would like to say about her outline that she made, something that she could have put, or maybe she just didn't think of, is I grew up with dyslexia, which was a very hard thing, and that made me feel very different from others because growing up in a classroom, I wouldn't understand things as fast as other kids did, and it was very difficult for me, and sorry guys, I'm a little nervous.
Aww, everybody, let's just send her positive energy. Thank you for your vulnerability.
But I definitely learned to grow from it, but till this day I still think that could really affect me in my learning. It's just it's really hard. I don't know how else to explain it. It's such a hard thing for me, like with reading comprehension, etc. It's been very hard for me, but definitely learn from it. Different techniques. That doesn't really mean that I'm not as smart as others, but it does affect me still. So I would say that's one thing maybe you should put.
Yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely. And thank you for your vulnerability. And I love, it was key what you just said, that it's, even though it's hard, right, and no one's going to ever take that away from you, but you found a way to be resilient and to overcome it and to deal with it, right? So thank you so much. Does anyone else want to share in the spirit of vulnerability? Yes, there's another brave soul over here. Thank you. Closer to your mouth.
Okay. What I wanted to say is that sometimes you always feel like you fit into that category of people who don't believe in themselves. Sometimes you're like, yeah, like I'm confident, like I can get up and talk to people and everything, but it's all on the inside. It's like when it comes down to do something, you're actually, if you back down, that's you not being confident, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't acknowledge that you're not confident, or you don't acknowledge that you're scared, and that's okay. That's something that you realize, throughout life, and something that, you get used to, like, learning and getting accustomed to. That's okay. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it because they don't consider themselves within that statistic that's not confident, and that's okay.
Yes, thank you. No, that's absolutely right. Thank you so much. Did you guys get what she was saying? That sometimes you can appear and feel confident, but maybe you don't have that follow through, right? Which is also incredibly normal and usual, and you're not out of the norm. Does anyone else want to share one last one before we move on? Please, and thank you to our heroes in the room who did share. All right. Oh, thank you. Well, let's keep it in the public discourse here for the next one. Yes, please. I think it's on you. Just
Hello everybody, so I'm Miss Spencer, I'm from East Bronx Academy for the Future. But these are my lovely students, mi bello estudiantes. Y yo voy a hablar por ellos porque yo sé que hay algo que ellos quieren decir, pero están un poco shy. Pero una de las cosas es no saber el idioma. Yeah, entonces muchos de ellos entienden español y francés. Madusu speaks French. And so
Do you want to translate it too?
yeah. So in Spanish?
Say it in English for those that don't speak
So we were
Spanish.
just saying that one of the challenges, I wanted to speak on behalf of my students because they speak English as a second language. And so one of the challenges is not knowing the language English. So one thing I was saying is just that like having information given to them in both English, Spanish, maybe a little French, like depending on the audience. So just a thought, we were just so excited to be here, but some of the challenges is not knowing the language. So uno de los desafíos es no saber el idioma del inglés, porque a veces hablamos español o francés. So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you know what, I'd be happy to do this in Spanish, I'm just saying.
Let me know, I do a part-time job anytime.
Yeah.
We can connect.
Yes, we will. Ya oíste, Ana, ya tengo
Ana,
trabajo.
o yo.
Go ahead, Ana.
Ana, te doy el micrófono.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and I agree with that. Oftentimes, people confuse language proficiency with intelligence, and that's absolutely incorrect. We have bright students, very bright people, and sometimes people mislabel. And I do agree that it's challenging and it's uncomfortable for certain people to say what they have in their mind in the language that they are being addressed. But the state has certain institutions that have responsibility for translating and for providing communication in the language that you understand, for instance, in the schools, etc. So if you ever feel that you need your ideas to be translated, always ask for help. Because there are many people in this country that are bilingual, bicultural. And you have the right to speak in the language that you feel comfortable, and you have the right to be listened to. Déjame si lo digo en español.
Thank you. Sí.
Thank you.
You're saying in Spanish.
Yo estoy de acuerdo con lo que se ha dicho acá, de que hay personas que no se sienten cómodas hablando en un idioma que desconocen, pero eso no quiere decir que no son inteligentes. Hay personas que son muy inteligentes y que tienen unas grandes destrezas, y el hecho de no poder comunicar esas ideas a veces se traducen a pensar que no son personas inteligentes, y eso es un concepto totalmente erróneo. El no tener proficiencia en un segundo idioma no quiere decir que es reflejo de usted, ni que usted es menos y que usted no es inteligente, todo lo contrario. Y en este país hay muchas instituciones que tienen la responsabilidad de traducir en el idioma que usted se quiere comunicar en caso de que usted no conoce ese idioma. Así es que no tengan miedo, siempre hay una primera vez para todo. Eso es todo lo que quería decir.
Thank you so much, Ana. We'll just keep it here, and whoever wants to speak next. We have a few more interactive slides here. So here's the good news, right, about our limiting beliefs. I don't have a lot of time, but I do want to at least share this one pro tip, that the one antidote to your limiting beliefs, besides me just telling you that they're all lies that you're telling yourself because they're fear-based projections of things that you might happen, that the things that might come to pass in the future, right? But if they're things that might come to pass in the future, you don't know, right? So you can just as easily project something positive. But here's the antidote, a shortcut for everyone. Remember, we were talking about courage still. This is still the first pillar. And courage, like I told you earlier, is about taking consistent action. That's also called persistence. And check out the power of persistence. I just learned this when I was preparing for this presentation. Thomas Edison, credited with inventing electricity, not true, but he did invent the first practical light bulb, right? Did you know that he had 1,000 plus failed attempts at building this light bulb? I mean, that's remarkable. And when he was asked, well, what did it feel like to fail so many times? Do you know what he said? Who wants to read the quote up on the screen here? I need someone to do it in dramatic form. If you can sound like Thomas Edison, maybe. What did he say? What did he say?
He said, I didn't fail. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that remarkable? Just 1,000 ways that didn't work. So each time that he tried, he could have given up after the second try. He could have given up after the 30th try. He could have given up at try 99. But he didn't do that, right? So what does that teach us? What if failure is actually the path to success? Because only through failure do you get the pivot. Do you get the course correction? Do you get the ability to say, well, that didn't work. Try this way, right? So what if every single mistake, quote unquote, in your life is nothing more than a course correction? And what if you started to think like that, right? Then maybe you wouldn't feel so bad about yourself when you think you're making mistakes. All right, I have 10 minutes, so we're gonna go through the rest of the pillars a little quickly. So the next one is ownership. Recognize that no one is coming to save you. You have people that love and adore you, but guess what? This is your life to live. You have to live it, whether you like it or not. You are the one that you've been waiting for. So you have to find a way to become empowered. And you can only become empowered when you recognize that, yes, difficult situations may have happened in your life. And unfortunately, I can't really get into it right now. But I'm here to tell you, if some person or circumstance hurt you, it was not your fault, okay? Hear me when I say this. And it does not define you. You are not your past. From this moment on, pledge to me that you will take responsibility for your life from this moment forward, no matter what happened to you. And I'm not excusing it. Wrong is wrong, okay? But you are the one that gets to live your life. And you can choose to be a victim of that person or circumstance. Or you can choose to say, that weird lady in that leadership summit, she said, I can take power over my own life. And maybe, just maybe, I'm gonna try and do that. And I promise you, if you do, something called resilience will follow. Resilience is a fancy word, you heard it here earlier. All it means is the ability to bounce back. And guess what? This is what's wonderful about resilience. The more you do it, the faster you get at it, the better you get at it, right? I falter, I have limiting beliefs all the time, but I can bounce back. I have my little pity party if I need to, but I tell myself, Clarissa, you're gonna have a pity party today. You're gonna cry in the shower, and then you're gonna keep it moving. That's resilience. All right. I have a lot of real life heroes here that I wanted to talk to you about today. I don't have a lot of time, but I can share these slides. And if you don't know who these folks are, I want you to look at them. Each and every one of them has a hero's journey. And you can take ChatGPT, take one of these people and say, all right, what was the hero's journey for the Mirabal sisters? If you're Dominican, you may know who they were. Here's some other real-life heroes of mine, because I'm an attorney. I was just admitted to the U.S. Supreme Court. And here are two of my favorite, thank you. Here are two of my favorite Supreme Court justices. Thurgood Marshall, the very first African-American justice, and also a civil rights icon. He fought so that we no longer have segregated schools. Brown v. Board, Brown v. Board of Education. Again, Sonia Sotomayor, who Judge Bianca Perez spoke about earlier. Here's some others you may know. Malala Yousafzai. She's an advocate for girls' education from Pakistan. Dolores Huerta. She's credited with Si Se Puede, yes we can, and fighting for migrant rights. Some other athletes you may know, Serena Williams. I may not have to tell you her come-up story, but it's remarkable what she has overcome. Michael Jordan. Did y'all know he's not just a sneaker? There was a person behind the sneaker. He was cut from his varsity basketball team. Can you imagine cutting him and what he went on to become? Greta Thunberg. Does anyone know who she is? Climate activist. Physicist Stephen Hawking. I beg you to please look into these because I don't have a lot of time to go through it. Audre Lorde, poet, author, LGBTQ rights, and intersectionality, right? She was Black and she was gay. Harvey Milk, also advocate for LGBTQ rights and a politician. Don't worry, I'll share these. And the one that you might be the most familiar with is MLK. He also had an incredible hero's journey, and I know you've learned about it in school. But here's one thing that he had that I think about all the time. The third pillar here, dreams. You know about his I Have a Dream speech, right? And this is what happens with heroes. Every hero sees the world not as it is, but as it could be. That's what he did, and he held on to that dream. And that's what you have to do. You have to hold on to this dream so tight, like it's the last thing you will ever do. Because that's the only way that it'll keep you moving forward. That will become your North Star. So I want you to do a little activity if we have time. How am I doing on time? Yeah? Okay. Maybe 2 minutes we're gonna take for this. I want you to do a little activity and I want you to dream with me. But first, a gift. I'm gonna give you this gift. This is a gift that includes, it's a unique gift and it's only for you. It includes your innate gifts and talents, meaning the things that you were born with, the things that your ancestors equipped you with, and also your lived experience. And that unique combination gives you the sensibility, a way that you look at life. And this is your gift to have and to hold. No questions asked. But actually that's not true. I do have one condition here. That you take this gift and you use it to become the best version of yourselves. And because if you do that, I promise you, if you embrace this gift, you will inspire others. And that inspiration will have a ripple effect beyond anything you can imagine. And that's how you help others. That's how you serve others. So here's my little activity. If we have 60 seconds, please, please, please play along with me. I want you to get comfortable, maybe shake your little jitters out, close your eyes, plant your feet if you can, whoever wants to do this activity with me. But here's what I want you to do. If you can close your eyes without fear of judgment. Can we all be heroic for a moment here? Yes? Close your eyes without fear of judgment. And I want you to visualize your life 20 years from now. Okay? I'm going to give everyone a moment to go ahead and do it. Get those jitters out, whatever you need to do. I want you to imagine yourself 20 years from now. But first, I'm going to get you there. Take at least one big cleansing breath. Breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 6. Big, big, big deep breath. Okay. All your fears out. You're going to play along with this weird lady. Let's do it. Another deep breath. And you let it out. Imagine yourself in the middle of a bubble. This is a bubble where you're safe. No one else is here, just you and me. Actually, just you. And there's a light that begins to emanate from the core of your being. We can call it your soul if you're someone spiritual. And this light emanates out, and there's little sparkles of light, almost like snowflakes in this snow globe. Each one represents one of your future possibilities. There's one that speaks to you, you grab it in your hand, and this is your future. And don't worry, there's no failing. There's so many possibilities. But who are you? Look down at your feet. What does it look like? What are you wearing? Who's around you? What are you doing? Are you happy? I know you are. You're so incredibly impressed. You actually pick up a phone or maybe a little weird AI headband, and you call a friend and you say, girl, dude, you're never going to believe this. And you share what's going on in your life. And it's freaking remarkable. Now hold this vision. And we're going to do the last pillar, execute, because I have 4 minutes. So you're going to create a brief roadmap. You're going to hold this vision, and you're going to remember that your thoughts are actually the most powerful weapon in your journey. And thoughts become things. Remember the example of Thomas Edison, right? You're going to open your eyes, and you're going to scan another barcode. All right. And you're going to write a letter from that future self that you just envisioned to present you. Oh, let me go ahead and launch it. Sorry. Okay, you should see the questions now. This is a very brief letter from your future self. You're going to complete 3 sentences. Don't forget, and you're going to write it in. Keep believing. Finish the sentence. And start doing. Finish that sentence, and then take a screenshot. This is your roadmap. This is your reminder of that future self that's going to be your reality. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to do. Take this seriously, you guys. Future self would be like, I see you. Oh, en español, una actividad. Si se imaginaron su ser en su futuro, ahora escríbanse una carta de ese futuro a su presente. ¿Y qué le dirían a ese presente? Que no se olviden que son poderosos, que siga creyendo en sí mismo, que comience a tomar acción hoy día. All right, thank you for playing along. Beautiful, your votes are coming in. Okay. I'm gonna move on just because I have like 2 minutes, but that's it. Now you have your cheat code, all right? Let's recap very briefly. The courage, now you know it's a formula. Taking ownership of your life, I know it's tough, but you can do it. It's actually your only choice. Dream big. You can go back there to this snow globe, this bubble of opportunities where you are emanating your own light anytime you want. And that's how you can discover your own power, your own divinity within. Because that's ultimately what happens to our heroes in the hero's journey, right? They discovered that they were strong, they were valiant all along. We know it as the viewer, right? And that's why we're so excited when they finally reach the end. And execute boldly. Take this vision of your future, hold it. Take this letter that you just wrote to yourself. Hold onto it as your North Star. This is your roadmap. And live your code. And lastly, this is a nod to any Star Wars fans in the building. Consider me your Yoda for the afternoon. Yoda was talking to Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Luke was having a tough time. He felt challenged. He didn't believe in himself. He didn't believe in the Force. And what he said to him was, human as beings are we, not this crude matter. Sorry guys, I tried. What was he talking about? He was alluding to Luke's light from within. And I'm here to tell you, you have that same light. I just showed it to you. We just activated it. Go back there. Remember how powerful you are. Hold on to your light. The world needs you. I need you. We need you to step up and be the heroes of your own life and your own journey. All right, that's my time. Please give me good feedback.
This question is for all the panelists, and please take about 2 minutes to respond. Please share a bit about yourself and what inspired you to launch your company or get into the industry that you're in.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. It's a rainy day. You might ask yourself, what is MMS Group? So I'm going to give you a little detail quickly. MMS Group is the group that owns Mama Sushi, Olo Mama Sushi, Mama Juana Cafe, Olo Mama Juana Cafe, in Bocadito Bistro. So here I am, as you can see, being a business owner is not easy. Look at me, I'm not, I can do my makeup, I can be that pretty as her, because I'm always in a rush. Always, always, always in a rush. It's not easy to be a restaurant owner, because when you're a restaurant owner, and what inspired me to get there was my grandmother back in my country. I came to this country in 1985, so I grew up there, I did everything over there. So everything what I've learned and the love that I have for the food, it was back home. So that's my inspiration, my family. So Mama Sushi, Mama Juana, in Bocadito, we are a family restaurant. Me and my brother, we own the franchise of all the Mama Sushi and all the Mama Juana and Bocaditos. So, what else do you want to know? What inspired me to, like I said, my grandmother, in coming to this country as an immigrant, you know what everything was going on right now. It's not easy. I told myself when I came to this country, I was 15 years old, that I was going to be big. I had my mindset when I left the campo. When I left the campo, I said, I'm going to be somebody when I come back so they feel proud of me. So I think I did it. I did it and I'm continuing doing it every day. But it was not easy because when I came here, we all make little mistakes. Things that they don't show me there, I learned here the hard way. Guess what? I came out pregnant when I was 15. I don't regret that. I don't regret that at all. But I could be something else bigger than that if I wouldn't have a daughter, a big responsibility. Okay? Pay attention. It's not that I don't regret, but it was something that it really cut me off a lot of things. But nothing could stop me. I continue selling food, tres golpe, when I used to work everywhere. I used to tell people, buy me tres golpe. I used to sell sneakers. Everything what you can imagine, I used to do it. Only to make money. But it was something the most important that I lost. It was like finish my high school, going to college. So look at the two things. I worked very, very, very hard, but I couldn't go to high school. I couldn't finish high school, and I couldn't get into college. It's just a half and half. What I'm telling you in, un mensajito, don't you ever stop school. Continue, building yourself. I wish I could have time to go back and say, let me go back to school. Let me go back to college. Let me do something. Even being a business owner is a career. It's a hard work career. Because you gotta see me pushing a little carrito in Restaurant Depot buying my food. Because I'm always looking for discount. Right now, I'm being in disability for 2 weeks. Today, it's been a week that I had surgery and I'm here. Because I like to be responsible. And when she asked me that it was to have a talk for you guys, I said yes. Because this generation needs us to tell them what is the real reality and what we're going to go through and who you can be. But it's been more than 2 minutes. You can ask me a question later. Thank you so much.
Question one more time.
Oh, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to be in your industry.
Oh, yeah, sure. So my name is Julio, and I'm happy that you guys are all here. Happy to be here. My story is a little bit different. Puerto Rican from the Bronx. All right. Anybody? Sound of you? Casio? No? All right. No. Usually I'm the second one. So I knew from very young that I wanted to be in some type of finance or administrative. Right. A lot of my mother's the oldest of 18. I actually have 36 cousins spread out throughout the world. A majority of them do, blue collar work, right? So construction, some of them work for night shifts, some of them are out, really kind of breaking it back, doing heavy labor. I knew I didn't want any of that. I didn't want to be out there, in the freezing cold, kind of breaking I always kind of knew I had a knack for being in a nice air-conditioned office, hopefully wearing some nice pants, leaving by 5 p.m. And then I fell in love with the entire finance world, right? Coming from where I come from, we really didn't have much education when it came to financial management. I was blessed with having some good mentors and a real close friend of mine who kind of walked me through the importance of being financially responsible. And when I saw that the career path opened up for a young Latino man back then, educating people in this community about how to manage their finances, it kind of opened many doors and it kind of all came to fruition. So I've always had a knack for money. I've always had a knack for running a team, running an office, leadership role. And it just so happened that the financial journey and my personal journey came together, and I'm able to give back that way.
Hi everyone, my name is Daphne Sanchez. She, her pronouns.
I'm the executive director of a firm called Kinetic Communities Consulting at KC3 for short. I'm a native New Yorker, born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn, probably gonna die in Brooklyn. Thank you, the one Brooklyn here in the middle of the Bronx. Similar story, I am Afro-Caribbean, so my father is Puerto Rican, my mother is Costa Rican, and I grew up in public housing, and so one of the things that I often talk about is we actually don't have access to information when you grow up in public housing and when you grow up in low-income communities. There's this assumption that, if you reach far, you can grab it, but the reality is that the system was designed for us to continue to reach into the void because there was no light, so you couldn't really see what was happening. So I started working in the clean energy sector for the simple reason that my community didn't exist. I would go into the room and it would just be full of white men, and I was the only Afro-Caribbean person in that space, and I got very frustrated. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I went onto the Department of State website, and I opened up my corporation. So I've been in operation for 9 years now. We've been able to secure over $20 million in contracts. We've been working with the city, state, and federal government, ensuring that our communities are represented in the clean energy transition, from retrofits to consulting projects to data analysis. So we do everything and anything related to the energy that you see around you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Senia Paredes. I'm the designer and founder of Senia, New York. And I was born in a small village in the Dominican Republic. I had to walk 2 kilometers to go to the nearest school. And my dream was to be a fashion designer one day. My mom was the seamstress of my hometown. And I grew up helping her, watching her. And then I started imagining dresses for her clients. I started to sketch them up. No one told me how to draw. This is something that came natural to me. By the time I knew, I had hundreds of sketches. I didn't even know that there was a career of being a fashion designer until one day my aunt came from the capital and saw all my sketches and told me, Senia, you're going to be a fashion designer one day when you grow up, like Oscar de la Renta. And from the moment she told me that, I decided that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't know how. We were, living very humble conditions. But I decided to do it through education. I was very studious. And one day we had the opportunity to come to the United States, to New York, my entire family. As soon as I got here, I decided to pursue my dream. I applied to FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology. I was accepted. I graduated from FIT in 2004 and went to work in New York's Diamond District. And guess what? I got to work with Oscar de la Renta, my mentor, my idol. I worked for big companies, Calvin Klein, True Religion. But I decided that that wasn't what I really wanted, that my dream was to start my own company, my own line. And I launched Senia New York in 2008 while I was still working full-time for another company. By the time I knew, I was selling to 50 specialty stores, and I had to quit my full-time job. My distribution grew. I won the Workshop and Macy's program out of 900 companies. I was the only Latina in the group. I sold to specialty stores throughout the country. I won the Big Five by the Home Shopping Network with my patent jean, and I was the only Latina to sell my own brand on live TV on the HSN Home Shopping Network and HSC Europe. And today I went for my ultimate goal to open my flagship store, which I did 2 years ago in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And I sell all of my brands there, and the sky's the limit. Goes to tell you that no matter where you come from, if you have a vision, if you work hard, if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish your dreams.
Thank you all so much. This next question is for everyone. What mindset or habits do you have that help you navigate moments of uncertainty, of risk, when launching your venture or when entering leadership positions? what habits, what mindsets do you rely on when you're approaching risk or trouble in your ventures?
Well, I'm a religious person. When I wake up, the first thing that I say, God, today I give you this day. I'm going to worry about today, and tomorrow is going to be another day. And every day is a different story, it's a different drama, it's a different problem. Just be positive, take a deep breath, and try. Like in my area, when I get those days, it's very easy. I motivate my employees and I say, I'm gonna go inside. Let me help you how to do it. Since what I do, I have passion for what I do, so I just get in there with them. And at the end, we do it right.
I have a large footprint, so we have 15 offices. I have 92 employees. I have great managers. That's one of my awesome managers right there in the green t-shirt. So that's Mr. Rona. Everybody say hi to her. She works hard for our community, so I'm happy that she's here. One thing that you have to have is patience. Another thing you have to have is foresight, right? Being able to look forward and kind of gauge what might be coming down the road. But one of the things that we live by in moments of uncertainty, to avoid them, right, is we have a term called don't walk past it, right? That sometimes some of the issues that are brewing are right in front of your face, but we can be busy, we can be distracted, we can be stressed, and we kick it down the road, or we see somebody with a bad attitude, or we see something or feel something, we don't act in the moment. So if there's things that in moments of challenges is one, act quickly, right? Have patience. We are dealing with other human beings who have their own challenges. There are some factors that we can't control, right? The economy, right? Politics and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's, if I see an issue, get into it now, right? Think about how we got to that particular problem and how do I prevent that problem from continuing to happen going forward. So it's like timely people leadership that kind of helps us navigate when things get rough. And I found that that's helped me tremendously throughout my career.
I think for me it's two things. One, like growing up in the hood, you often have this very harsh opinion about yourself, and so you feel very nervous to move forward and make a decision because you're going to be othered from your family, you'll be othered from your friends. And so really acknowledging like, okay, this is a decision that I need to take. And if somebody talks shit, then let them talk shit, it's fine. They don't pay my bills, so that's okay. So that was like one big mentality shift that was really important. The second thing is actually accountability. I've noticed that in my family, with my friends, coming from a low-income neighborhood, it's very hard to stay motivated. We heard from others like motivation. But turning on motivation can be incredibly difficult when you're already hard on yourself. And so one thing that was very helpful for me that ironically a white man told me was like, get an accountability partner. Get someone that will call you at 6 o'clock in the morning and be like, did you do this yet? And it was annoying to have at first, but like that accountability partner will help keep you on track when you don't feel motivated and when you kind of feel bad or you feel embarrassed and you don't really feel the need because you're tired or distracted. Like that person can be there and say like, hey, I want you to be my accountability partner. I want you to tell me to move and tell me to get my ass up when I'm starting to feel not very into the work that I'm doing. So accountability partner and really understanding like what other people think about you really doesn't matter. The older you are, the more you realize how real and how important that is.
Can I please clap. There was one piece that you mentioned that I forgot, so I apologize. Get a mentor, get several mentors, and don't be afraid to ask for mentorship and find mentors who have actually been successful. Right? We tend to think that our parents know it all, right? We tend to think that it is what it is. Find people who have done what you're looking to do and they've done it at an accelerated, successful rate, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. There are times when I hit a wall and things get really, really rough, and I call my mentor and I say, hey, have you ever been through ... And what did you do? And sometimes we have a little bit of an ego and we're afraid to go ask for help. Get the right people talking to you, because there's a famous saying that says you're forever going to be the average of the 5 people you keep around you. If the 5 people you keep around you are doing less than or the same as you, you're never going to grow. You have to branch out and find people who have been there, done that. They're going to grab you by the collar and say, hey, you're not going down the right path. I've been there, this is what you gotta do, and you be vulnerable enough to take that guidance. So mentorship is huge.
Yeah, and to add on to that about the 5 people thing, because I think the friend circle you have is so important. Like my friends are all like a bunch of kooky people that really love their work. And growing up here, like I had high school friends, I had elementary school friends, middle school friends, and some of these people I still spoke to for a while up to a moment, because I realized the conversations we were having were so radically different. Like one friend of mine was talking about, this whole issue with drama and beef with this other person down the block. And then I had another friend of mine that was talking about like, okay, strategically, if I take this job in 2 years, I can take this other job, and then that way I can buy myself my car. Which was, again, we were early 20s, and that was their goal. But like hearing those conversations would help push myself. I would also recommend thinking about who's the mom in your friend group, because we all have one friend that's like very much the mom, and charge that friend to be like, okay, you get us together, put a little competition or something. So for example, one of the things that my friends and I did when we were in our 20s and super broke was, we're kind of still broke, but we did a competition where like each one of us would have to save $5 so that we can go on a trip to, I know Atlantic City's not that great, but we really thought it was great. We wanted to go to Atlantic City, and so the person that was the mom in the group was the one collecting the money, and every time like we would get a paycheck, we'd collect the money for like, so that was like a small practical pathway to like keep each other motivated. So it's always important to think about like, well, how do you stay motivated within your friend group? If you like your friend group, everyone wants to do well. I don't think people want to intentionally just be on the couch and watch video games or play video games or watch TikTok or whatever the hell people are doing nowadays. I think it's just a motivation piece, right? People don't feel motivated. They don't feel like they can see themselves out in the world. And that's where like the accountability can be very helpful, because if you do really like that friend group, then you can push each other forward. But if you realize that you are pushing yourself further out, then just expand your network and meet other people that you'll be able to grow with.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
And these answers were so great, so I'm gonna ask the same question again, but in Spanish afterwards, so prepare yourself, because we're gonna do that. If you can't, it's okay. Yeah. So let's ask this question again. So what mindset or habit has helped you navigate moments of uncertainty or risk when launching your venture?
Meditating. I always take, like Susana said, at least 5 minutes in the morning when I wake up to meditate, to think about the challenges I'm facing, what important decisions I have to make for the day. And at the end of the day, I trust my instinct. I think that there's that subconscious part of you that know when something feels right, when you are comfortable with making a certain decision, and I trust my instincts. I also have a good support system. Like Javier said, have mentors who have a lot of experience in my industry, and my family, my loved ones who, are always there for me when I need to vent out or want something like that. And I know that they have their best interest, my best interest in mind, but at the end of the day, it always goes back to my gut.
Awesome. Ahora en español, y me perdonan porque mi español tampoco es tan bueno, pero bueno, ¿qué hábitos o maneras de pensar les han ayudado a tomar retos en su carrera o en sus business? Negocios, gracias. Oh, okay. Pero ¿qué hábitos, qué manera de pensar les ayuda en esto que están haciendo ahora?
Bueno, como lo dije en inglés, lo voy a decir en español, para mí es más fácil también en español. Yo lo digo, yo soy una persona que todos los días confronto diferentes retos, todos los días, cada día trae su propio afán. Eso lo dice la Biblia. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Yo me despierto positiva, cojo esos 5 minutos para pedirle a Dios que me guíe el día. Ese es el único que me saca a mí de todas las cosas que yo me entro, como dicen, en el mundo que yo entro. Pero a la misma vez, yo siempre supe lo que yo quería. Como yo tengo pasión por lo que yo hago, yo soy bien ingeniosa. Puede venirme lo que me venga. Todos los inconvenientes, cosas que me llegan en un momento, que me llaman de un pronto, me dicen, mira, necesitamos comida para 150 personas. Yo siempre estoy preparada. ¿Por qué? Porque yo soy bien ingeniosa y yo tengo gente desde temprano, tengo un equipo que me vaquea. Y si yo nunca voy a decir que no, porque yo nunca digo que no a las oportunidades. Nunca le digo que no a las oportunidades. Si me llamaron de emergencia porque yo confío en mí, ¿qué yo hago? Yo soy una igual que ellos. Yo simplemente hago un trabajo, el que Dios me puso a hacer. Y yo me entro y lo hago. Para mí, cualquier inconveniente yo lo sé vencer. ¿Por qué? Porque lo que yo elegí para hacer, yo lo conozco. Entonces, como yo conozco lo que yo hago, yo tengo pasión por lo que yo hago. Entonces, para mí no hay inconveniente ninguno. Identifiquen ustedes lo que ustedes quieren hacer antes de coger una profesión, para que la hagan con amor y con inteligencia. No de un momento. Tomen su tiempo que están jóvenes. Pero eso va a llegar. De que llega porque llega y cualquier problema ustedes lo van a vencer. Lo van a vencer en Cristo que los fortalece. Amén.
Sí. Lo mismo.
También.
Yo también.
Las dos cosas que son bien importantes para uno es uno saber uno mismo cómo se siente y cómo piensa de las cosas. Porque muchas veces nosotros estamos pensando de lo que la otra persona piensa. ¿Qué piensan mis padres? ¿Qué piensan mis amigos? ¿Qué piensa esta otra persona? Pero honestamente esa gente no son los que están pagando tus biles, esa gente no va a estar en tu vida 100% toda la vez. Y es difícil a separar sus emociones con las emociones de otra persona, porque usted está viviendo su vida, está disfrutando cada momento, cada tiempo. Y cuando uno está pensando en el trabajo, pensando en empezar un negocio, uno tiene que dividir lo que uno quiere para su vida en el futuro y lo que está pasando ahora, y no es bien fácil. La segunda cosa es buscar a alguien que te pueda ayudar, alguien que te quiera, que siempre está encima de usted. Usted dice, por ejemplo, yo quiero correr 5 millas. Búsquete a alguien que te puede motivar, porque la motivación es bien difícil. Uno se levanta cansado, oye a su mamá y su papá, o su abuelita, su abuelito estresados porque no pueden pagar la renta, porque no tienen de comida, porque hay transportación. Y eso se queda en su mente y le puede poner un peso en uno que le puede demotivar a uno. Entonces es muy importante buscar otras personas que te pueden ayudar a motivar, también te pueden ayudar que seas consciente de uno mismo y estar siempre contigo. Y la última cosa que yo dije en inglés es ver cómo son sus amigos. Vaya, busca al amigo que siempre está haciéndose como la mamá de la familia, de los amigos, y dígale, nosotros queremos hacer X o Y y Z. Y a esa manera ustedes pueden crecer juntos, porque yo sé que a veces hay unos amigos que uno crece, que va a la secundaria, a high school, y quiere estar con ellos por toda la vida, pero es que la vida va muy rápido y uno no quiere estar pegado a alguien que no le puede ayudar. Y eso pasa siempre, especialmente en Nueva York.
Gracias. ¿Te repito la pregunta? Sí. ¿Qué hábitos o maneras de pensar te han ayudado a sobresalir en tu carrera o en building your business?
Bueno, un hábito que yo tengo que ha sido muy importante para mí, me ha ayudado mucho, es el meditar. Yo cuando despierto siempre tomo unos minutos para pensar en los desafíos que yo tengo para ese día, las decisiones importantes que tengo que tomar, y respiro profundo y le pido a Dios también que me dé una respuesta con lo que yo me siento cómoda. Yo siempre confío en mi instinto, lo que mi instinto me dice, porque tú cuando es una decisión que es buena para ti, tú lo sientes, tú te sientes cómoda tomando esa decisión. Y también me apoyo mucho en mi sistema de apoyo, que son personas que tienen mucha experiencia en la industria. Muchas de ellas son relaciones que he forjado durante mi carrera. y siempre recurro a ellos cuando son decisiones bien importantes. Y también en mi familia, mis seres queridos, que siempre tienen lo mejor para mí en su mente y en su corazón. Y pues me gusta tomar las decisiones junto con ellos, pero a la misma vez confiando en mi instinto, en mi propio gut feeling, en mi propio instinto.
Awesome. Gracias. Thank you guys for indulging me on this. The next question is for everyone. In your industry, whether fashion, food, tech, or banking, what unique challenges have you faced as a Latina entrepreneur or professional?
Wow, in what I do, in my industry, what I do, we've been harassed by other departments. It's something that you name it, they harass other restaurant, because I'm gonna tell you, we get the building department, we get the health department, we get the fire department, we get the police department, we get, and you would ask, but what that have to do with restaurant? Guess what? All the department, if it's a building department, they want to make sure that the structure of the building, because I don't own the building, everything is good, and if they let out it was built correctly. And if it's the fire department, we need to make sure que no haga ningún alambre, anything around. We need to make sure that whatever we use is approved by the fire department. If we're gonna go with the health department, you see what they say, the letter ABC? Don't believe what they say. That is about the house is okay. A lot of them, they have to be with the house, cleaning and all that. But the majority, I'm going to tell you, they check the temperature of the refrigerator. They check if any water is coming out, even from the toilet, if the water is coming out from the refresh, from the sink, from the dishwasher area. They check you name it, they check everything. They check if your employee has had in the kitchen. It's so many things that the last thing that they check is the cleaning. I'm telling you, or the food. They all have a different opinion. And what I'm telling you is that our industry is what they treat the worst. Because they always looking for something, but what they looking is for money. I'm sorry, every time when they go, they give you a fine. And you always end in pain because you never get away with none of those fines. So I think that that's the attack that we have every day. In order for you to have a restaurant, you gotta be prepared for all the departments to come in. Thank you.
One more time.
In your industry, what unique challenges have you faced as a Latino professional?
So I think one of the things I had to accept halfway through my career was that I look and sound painfully Puerto Rican from the Bronx, right? When I walk into the room, bald headed and a beard, my height, my stature, even the lingo that I use. In finance, when you're thinking about dealing with millionaire clients, when you're thinking about doing financial planning, when you're thinking about investing, I really had to kind of check my image at the door, the image that I wanted to maintain, right? You guys have to understand that when you are running a business, when you're trying to, whether you have a portfolio of clients, whether there's a service or a product, I know that we have our identities, right? And I want you to maintain those. I want you to keep that near and dear to your heart. But if you're trying to get other people to believe in your product and service, sometimes we have to check some of our presentation at the door. I really had to focus on being softer. I did inherit my dad's, bulldog kind of looking face. So I had to make sure that when I am engaging with people, right, I'm not using slang. I'm not speaking in an intimidating way. I'm not mumbling. I'm not, using acronyms that they don't understand. Really making sure that if we're here to talk business and do business, I'm able to, talk the part, look the part as well. When I first started banking, I used to wear like the big baggy slacks, and I used to wear like a Rockaware belt, for those who even know what those are. I used to wear like a baggy polo. I used to kind of like have my earrings on. That was me trying to force something into a financial realm that really didn't exist. Over the years, I realized, wait a minute, if these people were coming to my bank, to my office to talk business, I'm the subject matter expert. I'm the one that they're gonna trust with their monies, I'm the one that they're gonna trust with the advice. I gotta make sure that I look the part, play the part, speak the part as well. So one thing that I did experience early on was, who is this big Puerto Rican dude talking like that? Why would I trust him with my finances? I then had to revisit what my presentation was, what it sounded like, and then being able to deliver, right? Because you deliver through your work, right? Getting it done for people. So that, I think that was something that I personally had to navigate through, maybe 8 or 9 years into my career.
I want to add a little color to this. Because I always have, this is one of the hot debates my friends and I have. So my friend actually works in the finance sector. He's a wealth manager, high net worth individual. So you're absolutely right. That element of that space, you have old money, which is considered generational wealth. So people that have had money because their great-great-great-grandfather owned slaves and now they have money. Like that's the reality in the United States. And then you have new money, right? New tech, new companies, new businesses. And so that sector, it's very, very strict. Like you have to follow the social hierarchy of like, how do you appear and how do you assimilate close to whiteness? Which I always, I don't work in finance, so I give my friend a lot of crap for it because it's such a hard thing to do. He is a proud Mexican American, he looks Mexican, he sounds Mexican, but when he walks into that bank, he has to turn everything off because he works with people that have, over $500, $600, $700 million in assets across the globe. One thing that I struggle with, which is the opposite side of that, is I worked in corporate America for a very long time. I worked in international consulting firms where we're dealing with huge utility, huge government problems and ideas. And our job as consultants is to fix it. And so what I used to do is actually straighten my hair, dress very conservatively, tone down my Brooklyn accent, just so that they could feel comforted. We have these harsh faces, right? New Yorkers are known to be like assholey, but very sweet. Like we're extremely sweet people, we're so accommodating, but if you look at us, you're scared of us. And what I came to realize, and this is where I'm saying there's a nuance, is you are your subject matter expert, right? So people are hiring you because of your expertise and because of your knowledge, and so the more you're working into an industry, the more you have that expertise. They're not hiring you because you have curly hair and you straighten your curly hair, or if you're buying your clothes at Loft and you're speaking a certain way. And one of the things in the consulting space, we always talk to folks and say like, hey, you need to find a place that will hire you for your expertise and not how you're dressed and who you are. Because the reality is that you're always going to be held to an unrealistic standard in those spaces that are not accepting you for you. So a little bit of the opposite side of the spectrum, but with more context, is understanding the industry that you're working with, because in my opinion, it's important to show up authentically, but show up knowing what you're doing, right? So you can show up with your curly hair, you don't have to straighten your hair, you can show up in business casual clothes, but do the research of the interview that you're going into. Don't just assume and expect them to give you a job because you're coming in for the interview. I think one of the things that we've often seen people fall flat in their face is that they didn't even know what KC3 stands for. We're like, what does KC3 stand for? They're like, oh, we don't know. I'm like, okay, we end the interview right there because you clearly did not do your research. And there are companies that are out there that are going to be looking for your expertise, looking to understand how much homework did you do before you got to the job interview? How much do you understand about the market? How much are you willing to support them? Because it is an interview to give you a job, but it's also an opportunity for you to help that business grow and help that business expand, right? Or help that client make more money, or help that client, solve a big problem. So just being mindful of what does authenticity look like in a particular sector is going to be incredibly important. And so I stopped straightening my hair after my friends and I started having the same exact conversation and debate, and I started just showing up authentically. And I've been working in the sector for over 20 years now, right? So if people don't want to work with me, they don't have to work with me. If they want to work with me, then great. So I was able to navigate that. But entering in, it's incredible it's incredibly important to assess what is the business you're going into, and how do you want to show up, and how do they show up as well.
Awesome, thank you. Do you need me to repeat again? Yes. In your industry, what unique challenges have you faced as a Latina entrepreneur?
Well, when I worked in corporate, the fashion industry, the garment district, It was very hard for me to climb the corporate ladder in the New York's fashion industry. I was a Latina immigrant, had an accent. I was a single mom with 2 small babies. And I always saw that, the people in the highest positions, the design directors, did not look like me. And what is one of the reasons why I decided to start my own company, because I was doing so much for the company. I was bringing money to the company. I was working with the factories overseas. I was working with the store buyers. And I said, you know what, I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I have the connections. I could do this myself. I was a little naive. And my mom had raised me to believe that I could accomplish anything, that everything was possible. And my brain is, until today, is programmed like that. I think everything is possible. So I took all the money that I had on my 401k and I started my own business. It was the scariest thing ever. There were nights I didn't sleep. But, I just kept going, knocking on doors. And you know what? I was able to grow my business. I'm here today after 2008, and it's 16 years, right? I started my company, and my store is growing, doubling the numbers from last year. So that to me was excruciating, starting my own business, starting my own company.
Awesome, thank you so much. If we can give another round of applause to our wonderful panelists. We have ran out of time. So thank you all, and if you have any questions you would like to speak with them individually, please come see us at the front desk. Thank you so much. We need to take pictures this last time I wrote that. Thank you so much for those powerful words. Gracias mil por esas palabras que captivaron la atención. ¿A cuánto te gustó? How many of you guys like what they said? Yes? How many of you guys would like to be a business owner sometime? And I want to give a shout out to each and one of the panelists. It's hard to start a fashion line, right? And let me tell you, I'm very senior today. But also, it's very rare to see a Latina in AI. And I want to give shout out to Daphne too, because you're impressive. And what you do, it's so needed. So AI is the future. So if you're planning to go into technology, please consider speaking to Daphne. I know mi bella Susana Osorio, she has an incredible story. And I just love to hear her story and how she has been able to own not only one, but 16 restaurants, guys. It's very impactful. And of course, our dearest Julio Reyes that supports the business community. I think it's very, very important. Thank you so much for those words. We have another panel, and I want to introduce you to the moderator. I thank God for allowing me the opportunity to know these incredible people that are here today, because it's just very inspiring, and they don't know
by the way, that they inspire me. Not only inspire me, but I look up to you guys. So, I don't think you guys know that, but now you know. So, without further ado, I want to welcome the next panel. It's called United for Impact, Civic Engagement, and the Power of Collective Community. I want to introduce the moderator, a Latina Dominicana, Denise Felipe Adams. She is the Executive Director and Senior Advisor for the Mayor's Office, Innovation and Emerging Markets. Please welcome. And she's going to welcome the panelists. So talking about tech, look at someone that's really doing the work at the Mayor's Office. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful intro. Are there mics here for the panel? Buenas tardes a todos. Does everybody here speak English as their first language or second? Can you just raise your hands? Just want to make sure. How about español? ¿Todo el mundo habla español? Sube la mano si puede. I want to make sure that we honor everybody in their language that they understand. But that table right there, the girl with the green in the back, I make sure, I'm going to test you guys. Make sure todo el mundo está poniendo atención. Me alegro estar aquí and thank you, Felice, for expanding on your vision, for bringing everybody together and educating, the next generation with your vision and your purpose. So thank you for this and thank you to all the sponsors. Ustedes están comiendo una comidita y están aquí por los sponsors que están apoyando. So no crean que todo esto es gratis porque no lo es. Estamos trabajando por algo. So I want to introduce, is Catherine here? Our first panelist. As I call you up, please make your way this way, please. Estoy pidiendo comiendo, ¿verdad? A Catherine Pichardo. She is president and CEO of Latino Victory. She's going to make her way this way. I see that we have hardworking people who are coming to join us here. So if you can just be patient with them and also honor their time up here in this panel. Our next is the Honorable Yudelka Tapia. She is the Assembly Member of Fierce Advocate para los Latinos Dominicanos right here in the 86th District of the Bronx. Welcome, Yudelka. Eso mismo. Te entendemos. Usted ahí mismo, doña Bella. Thank you. As she says, ha pasado mucho trabajo para llegar aquí porque la lluvia está parando el pelo de nosotros. Ya lo saben. Our next panelist is Dr. Adrián Bonilla. He's the Executive Vice President for a fund for the City of New York. And our last panelist is Larry Gallegos, Director, Public Affairs for Northeast Florida and Puerto Rico for CLEAR. That wonderful CLEAR that you see in the airports if any of you guys travel. So welcome. Ooh, come closer. Come closer, sir. Come closer. So I like to stand up and just be active. I hope everybody had a wonderful lunch, that you guys had a moment to start that down. I'm sorry that I had to pull you up. Pero me alegro ver todo el mundo aquí. So my first question, this is for everyone on the panel. How has civic engagement shaped your personal journey and leadership approach in your field, since we are here? Le voy a pedir a la gente que están ahí en la cocinita, por favor, si quieren compartir con nosotros. Ladies, if anybody wants to come and join us to sit, please. I encourage people to come and sit and hear this panel. Thank you. Let me know if I have to repeat the question.
No, so,
¿Permiso? ¿Lo puedo repetir? Pues claro. How has civic engagement shaped your personal journey and leadership approach in your field?
Civic engagement is kind of a heavy word. Nobody really knows what it means because it means something to each of us individually. Para cada uno de ustedes, y puedo hablar en inglés o español, yo vine de la República Dominicana a los 14 años. College really was my first experience with English, civic life in the United States, and politics. But I came from a family that was involved in politics in the Dominican Republic, as many of us are, right? And I understood very early on that what happened with politics had an impact on people's everyday lives. And so I wanted to create impact within my own life, for myself, for my family, for the future. And so I always knew that I wanted to get involved in politics. I went to college full time at Queens College, City University of New York. And at the same time, worked. I was recruited by an organization called NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials. And during that time, while I was in college, I was helping other immigrants like myself to fill out their citizenship applications, register to vote. I trained high school students on the importance of civic life. And so it really shaped who I became afterwards, and my entire career for my adult life, working in government, in the city council, the New York State Senate as the chief of staff for 13 years, then in the private sector as a government relations consultant and lobbyist, and then in the role that I do now, which I feel has come full circle, working for a national organization, Latino Victory, which is very much focused on building Latino political power at all levels of government. And really the reason is so that, really the same reason why I got involved, which is so that our voices and values could be part of what moves our nation's policy agenda forward. And that sounds like a soundbite, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff going down in Washington, D.C., in Albany, New York, at City Hall. Don't think for a minute that politics doesn't impact you. It's really what has the most impact, I think, in our lives, right? Whether we have affordable housing, whether we can have reliable, safe, and affordable transportation, whether there's childcare for moms, whether our schools are good and educate our children in a way that builds a future. So for me, it's very personal, but it started earlier on, and I thank all of you for being part of this lunch and panel, and I look forward to conversing more. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Assembly member, the question is, how has civic engagement shaped your personal journey and leadership approach in your field? And I know her very well, so I know this is a good one.
Well, we know each other for a while.
I know,
all of us.
a very long time.
All of us here. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you speak Spanish? Okay, todito. Vamos a hablar español.
Esto va a estar bueno.
I'm just kidding a little bit. But I got here when I was 20 years old. I was born in the Dominican Republic, en un campo de la República Dominicana, en Moca. Yes, yo soy una mocana.
Cibaeña.
Exactamente, una cibaeña que llegó aquí cuando tenía 20 años. But I have already graduated in DR because I started college when I was gonna be 16. I entered college in DR. And when I came here, in DR I've been already an organizer. That's what I did in DR before coming here. So when I came, for the same issue that I had, when I came here, I figured out and I saw that the issues that our communities were going through here were the same issues that I was fighting in DR for the people in my community. And I realized, oh, tú vienes para acá y tú piensas que vas para otro sitio y que mejor 20 veces y no es así. So I started just being in the community and many things that I did. I get back to my 4 sons here in the U.S., in the Bronx, in the Boogie Down Bronx. I have never moved, and I started seeing all those things in the community. So I was the one who fill out the applications to that put the application for immigration. I was the one who make the appointments for the doctors, for all the ones that live besides me. I was the one who accompanied them because I mean they couldn't speak a little bit of English. I spoke only a little bit of English, and I still, guys, because I don't want to lose my accent. I want everybody to know that I wasn't born here, that I came here when I was already an adult. But and then it came that when my sons had to go to school, and I went through all the schools, I went around, and you remember that it used to be zone school at that time, that your children have to go to the school that were just right beside where you live, or they wouldn't go to school. And of course, my children were not going to go to a school that they couldn't come out reading, knowing the map that they had to know, and knowing everything that they had to know. They were not going to come out with that in those schools because they were pretty bad. And I said no. So the first picket that I did here, the first demonstration, was in front of the superintendent of District 10 in that time, because I said that my children were not going to go to PS4 and to PS9. That were the war school that they were at that time. And I said, no, they're not. So you had to let me take them where they really belong. I did that fight. And from there came out choices. From that fight came out that parents were then allowed to pick the school even if they were not in the neighborhood. So that's how it came. So, and from there, I've just been fighting for our communities, making sure that all those things are there, and then I happen to become an assembly member. And now, what I do is we have more access to things that before, we still have to fight, because that's the only way we get things done. Nothing is given. Especially when we are black and browns, nothing is given to us. We have to fight for every single thing. And when I said fight, I'm not saying fighting no. I said that to have them.
You mean no, that's a golpe.
No, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's what I've been doing. I'm an assembly member, and I continue fighting for that, fighting for our communities, making sure that our community have the opportunity to raise their family with dignity, that have a good jobs, that are able to put the food in the table, and that they have the time that the children deserve, because they are not working 12, 14 hours a day to be able to pay the rent. And those are the things that we're still having in our communities, and that we continue seeing how we're gonna continue bringing resources and bringing the things. But yes. I think everyone that is here does some type of that job, even if it is with your student friend that you have here in the school and all that. You try to always work things that work for people that are in trouble. And that comes into us because, for example, for me, my mother taught us that the only equalizer that it was education. My mother only got to the 6th grade. So she said, my children are not going to be, my children are going to college. So we went off to college, we were 4 of us. And then when I came here, I was never already, but I went to Hunter College and I did my master's degree in Hunter College. And I graduated, believe it or not, summa cum laude, in Hunter Community College, in Hunter College. And for all of you, what I can say is that always think in your neighborhood, how you can be helpful, how you actually can change things, because that's the only way that we move forward. And always having somebody to talk about it, because the only way we get things done is when we do it together and when we fight together. Because nobody can accomplish anything on their own. And I know that because I have lived it. Everything that I have done is because people do it together and fight together. So let's do that, guys. Let's gonna do it together. And let's gonna fight together. And you will see that it's not easy, but it gets done.
Thank you for that. What a wonderful motivation. I want to speak this along a little faster because I have a couple of questions, but the same for both of you. Dr. It's civic engagement, how has it shaped your personal journey and leadership? I just want to touch base a little bit about that, especially right now in the role that you work in.
Just want to say that Moca produce mucho tirapiedra.
Eso sí es verdad. Eso sí es verdad.
Moca, pues sí. Again, my name is Aljan from Bonilla, Dominican American, Dominican New York, born and raised in Washington Heights. Just to give you a sense of, well, just to answer the question, right? Civic engagement really, and it was already echoed, just how can you make the places that you work, live, play, better? How can you make the places that you're at better? How can you leave the things better than they are? It's as simple as that. Civic engagement happens in your building. How can you leave your building better than it currently is? How can you leave your neighborhood better than it currently is? How can you leave your school better than what you found it? So if you follow that basic principle, how can I leave something better than I found it? Right? You're much of the way there. As students, you have a great responsibility because you're learning a lot. You're being exposed to a lot of resources, a lot of ideas, a lot of different data. So once you know something that has worked for you, that's worked for your family, once you have shared a certain resource, once you have a phone number to a certain agency that can help someone with their rent, once you have information on a certain scholarship, once you know how to get into the ASAP program and you got into the ASAP program, now that you have that information, how can you share it? That's civic engagement. How do you share the resources, the information, the connections, the networks that you have with someone else? Don't hoard it, right? Share it, right? So once you get in the door, how do you leave that door open for others? Very important. So those are two things I wanted to highlight in terms of civic engagement. The last one is that we are even more so now conditioned to thinking, and some of us grew up, and some of it has to do with culture as well, back in Santo Domingo, and República Dominicana, and other countries, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, we're kind of conditioned a little bit to think that politics is dirty. Que la política no sirve, you know, like right, I see people nodding. Like we're conditioned to think that somehow politics is something that happens over there, or happens in that country, or happens by people not like me or my family or my community. That is a wrong type of conditioning. That's a wrong type of messaging. Politics happens every day. 2 or more people get together and have to negotiate who gets what, when, where, and how. And if you're not around that table in those discussions, then you are the ones that they're dividing up. Or you are the ones on the menu that are getting eaten up. Your opportunities are getting eaten up. Food resources are getting eaten up. College scholarships are getting eaten up. Housing, affordable housing is getting eaten up by others than yourself and your own community. So really the third point is really fine-tuning where are the decisions being made that most impact my life, and how can I get a seat around that table? And if there's not a seat already in that table for me, which likely there are not for a variety of reasons, then you bring your own seat, like Yudeka has taught our community. You make your own seat, you pull it up, you open it up, you say, here I am, and let's get down to business. So you make your own place in that particular table.
That's a wonderful response, and I want to echo what everyone's saying so far. I'm coming to you, Larry, is la cosa es para ustedes que es gratis, en verdad no es gratis. Right? Ustedes están aquí muchas veces, no están pagando nada, pero es los taxes de los impuestos que están pagando sus padres porque están trabajando, los impuestos de nosotros, porque nosotros también, yo no tengo hijos, pero los impuestos que yo pago van sobre la educación. Y es muy importante que ustedes reconozcan que hay mucha gente que no sabe su nombre, que están peleando por ustedes, para que ustedes tengan esta oportunidad. So, como dijo el doctor Ladrín, que es Por favor, edúquese en a donde ustedes viven, con su familia, con la iglesia, con el vecino, para que le dé esta oportunidad a ellos también, o los niños que vienen después de ustedes. Gracias por eso. Larry.
So I feel a little left out. I'm going to say I'm not from Dominican Republic, but I married a Dominican woman.
That's all that counts.
So hopefully that
you have Dominican in you, regardless.
So,
¿Tú comes comida dominicana?
de vez en cuando.
Oh, okay.
But no, look, this is a full circle moment for me. Pretty exciting. I've done a million of these things before, but today's a little bit nerve-wracking because I haven't been here in over 25 years at Hostess Community College. My mother was a custodian here at Hostess Community College, and that is how she paid to put food on the table for my brother and I. Single mother, queen. When you see a little custodian, the people clean the bathrooms here and everything, just be kind. Understand that there's a story behind these people. So for me, this really is a full circle moment. It's exciting. On civic engagement specifically, I want to piggyback on everything that everybody here on the panel said, but I also want to recognize that civic engagement is hard. Civic engagement is really hard because there's a certain level of privilege that comes with being able to be civically engaged. The community boards, people that attend community boards meetings. I know, mommy couldn't do that. I couldn't do that at times because she had to work or put food on the table, make dinner, things of that sort. So getting involved is challenging. The first time I got involved was I was out of college, and Senator Jose Peralta, rest in peace, he passed away. He was having a parade in Queens, in Jackson Heights. I called his office, how do I get involved? They said, come on Sunday, hold my banner. So it was literally just walking up and down Northern Boulevard in the blazing sun, holding Senator Peralta's banner. And that was the start of it. That was the start of it, and I kept going, just figuring out how to get involved in different things while working a full-time job, going to school. I went to Hunter College, got my bachelor's there, and then a decade later went to Queens College and got my master's there. So I do want to recognize that, especially for CUNY students, we're a transient population when it comes to going to school, working a lot. Not all of you, I don't know all your stories, but I'm sure some of you are working. Once you leave here, you're running to get to school, to get to your job, things of that sort. So I applaud you guys for being here, for making the time, investing in this, investing in us. Appreciate that. But civic engagement, like the Doc said, it's extremely important because you want to have a seat at the table. I can't tell you how many times I go to a place and look, I'm short and brown. I look as Latino as they come. So oftentimes I'm in these rooms, in these corporate offices where I'm the only person of color there. I'm the only one providing feedback. But it's important because you have someone like us who's providing feedback and suggestions as far as what our community needs, instead of somebody who may have read it in the textbook, or somebody who thinks that they know what we need or what we want. So having that form of civic engagement is important because you know what your community needs. Nobody can tell you what your community needs because you're from there. You've lived it. You have those lived experiences. So I guess I'll say that's how civic engagement has influenced my life.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I love to hear that story by your mother. Catherine, this question's for you. What strategies have you seen work best for when mobilizing communities around issues that matter most, especially in the work that you're doing right now, Latino Victory?
Sure. So one thing is, of course, being civically engaged by yourself and getting involved in what's going on in your building or your church or your block association. Another thing is getting others to mobilize on a particular issue. And so a lot of the work that we do at Latino Victory is really to build civic engagement in Latino communities around the country, and then also uplift Latino candidates, because the way we see it, when Latinos are on the ballot, Latinos vote. And so that is a little bit more complicated. And right now we have into this next electoral cycle, which to many is, at a moment when our community is under attack by a federal administration and what's going on in Congress and even locally in many states around the country, it's how do we get fuego under our people, right? How do we light the fire? And so we're fighting misinformation and disinformation at all levels. A lot of people just don't know what's going on because they hear so many things in the news, and at some point they say, well, I don't even know what to believe, right? So we're fighting misinformation and disinformation. we're uplifting Latino candidates, and we're also looking for those unheard voices. You know we have an election coming up on Tuesday here in New York City. The most prominent candidate in the race is someone who kind of came out of nowhere, and so to many. So how do we cultivate new people, college students who want to run for public office? Who's going to be our next assembly member? Who's going to be our next state senator? Who's going to be our next council member, school board member, governor?
Even district leader, as
yes.
we also started here, being involved that way, district leader is very important.
Absolutely. So we want to uplift those Latino voices that maybe haven't been heard from before. We're also engaging Latino voters around issues, because at the end of the day, it's about what's going to make your life better. So whether it be housing or transportation or climate or women's rights or gun safety, we want to engage around those issues in a way that's productive and earn back the trust of Latino voters. Much has been said about young people and Latinos giving a win to Trump last year. We want to make sure that that's a trend that we turn around into the midterm elections, and frankly, you've already seen it in a lot of the polling. And then I would say also, we have to get out the vote. It's not enough to know the issues, to have great candidates, and to organize around different community-based matters, but if people don't come out to vote on election day, estamos igual, estamos en lo mismo. Por no decir, estamos jodidos. So we need to get out the vote. And then I would say the last thing is we need to engage year-round. Civic engagement is not about just coming out on election day. It's really about, as was said before, making a difference every day in our communities. So for those of you interested in politics, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. We have a great internship program through Latino Victory. We're based in Washington, D.C., but we do remote internships. We do have some interns from New York. For those of you looking to get engaged, run for office, or maybe even look for other ways to collaborate in this movement to build political power for our Latino community, happy to talk afterwards. Es un trabajo que no se hace solo, lo hacemos unidos. So thank you, and I look forward to talking to you afterwards.
That's great, thank you. In other words, make sure que tu abuela y la vecina vayan a votar, por favor. This question is for Dr. Bonilla. How can young leaders, especially the students like the ones that are here today, get involved in civic life beyond the voting? And I know you already tapped into this already with your previous response, but like a quick little, is there something that you can really highlight that they can just tap in?
There's various ways. I mean, there's a lot of school-based programs within your own school that can involve you in civic engagement opportunities. Everything from dealing with issues of food insecurity, maybe volunteering in a pantry, right? That's one entry. There's 59 throughout New York City. There are 59 what are called community boards that were mentioned. And community boards, you can be appointed or be a public member as young as 16 years old. And many people don't know that. And community board experiences are really good because you're able to have a really unique experience of working with diverse constituencies, working on the most local of issues, everything from like your local dog park to the lighting in your streets, to the noise levels in your community, all kinds of issues. And then you're able to interact with many city agencies. And I can tell you, when I work with young people and I work with them to get them on community boards, these are the young people that I don't have to worry about ever where they're gonna work or if they're gonna work. They have more jobs than they know what's happening. Because the connections, the networks, and the deep understanding of government that they get from that experience is very unique. That even someone coming out of a college in Michigan or Illinois, California, trying to make their way here in New York for a career, they don't have the person who has that deep knowledge and the community board has an advantage over those folks coming from other parts of the country trying to make a livelihood here in New York. And I think that's a great advantage. So I would go with those as examples.
That's a great example. Thank you. You really tapped on it. I have the same question for you, Assembly Member, but I would love for you to say it in Spanish, en español, por favor. And then also add the component of, because muchos de los jóvenes siempre están motivados por dinero, ¿verdad? Me van a pagar, me van a pagar. So tiene que ver algo más allá del pagar. So how can these leaders get motivated, the students, and how can they get beyond the voting, right? Pero en español, por favor.
Yeah, we joined the voting, okay. But I mean, let me tell you about voting.
En español, mujer.
Más allá,
Es que ella
más allá del
tiene
voto.
más años aquí que allá.
Más allá del voto, sí, es verdad, pero déjeme decirle que el poder que nosotros tenemos en esta nación es el voto que nos los da. ¿Okay? Si votamos, tenemos poder. Si no votamos, los que tienen la posibilidad y los que están registrados para votar y los que pueden votar, y se quedan en la casa porque están, no, yo no sabía, yo no me enteré, yo no busqué, qué sé yo cuánto, y no votan. Entonces, eso pasa. Por ejemplo, los latinos tenemos el más mínimo de votos que otras comunidades. Entonces, todas esas cosas, entonces de ahí depende cuál es la influencia que tenemos en resolver los problemas de nuestras comunidades. O sea, el voto es importante. Y es el poder que tenemos.
El año pasado habían 36 millones de latinos elegibles para votar en los Estados Unidos y solamente votaron 17 millones. O sea que, bueno, es diferente. Por ejemplo, en la República Dominicana vota un 110% de la población.
Exactamente.
Hasta los enterrados salen a votar.
Exactamente.
Pero aquí no, y por eso tenemos problemas.
Por eso no manejamos el poder que necesitamos, y por eso hay muchos problemas en nuestras comunidades que no están siendo solucionados porque no tenemos gente sentada en la mesa. Entonces eso es súper importante. El voto es súper importante. Cuando la gente está hablando de que no, que yo no soy política, no. El voto no es la política. A través de la política se resuelven todos los problemas grandes que hay en nuestras comunidades. Todos los problemas masivos solamente a través de la política se pueden resolver. Entonces, eso lo digo porque realmente muchos de nosotros, como dijo Catherine, realmente no votamos en grande en las cantidades que realmente debiéramos estarlo haciendo y perdemos el poder. Entonces, yo pienso que sí, y para que nos mantengamos participando en lo que pasa en nuestras comunidades, tenemos que conocer el nombre del vecino, tenemos que conocer lo que se paran en la esquina, tenemos que conocer a todos los que están alrededor y saber qué es lo que pasa en nuestras comunidades para nosotros ponernos. Lógicamente nosotros tenemos mucha internship en muchísimas partes, o la información es importante que la tengamos, que la sepamos, para que la podamos compartir con todos los demás, porque hay muchísimas oportunidades que no llegan a ustedes, que no llegan a nosotros, pero están ahí. Y lo que están buscando siempre encuentran parte de esas oportunidades. Entonces, es el trabajo de nosotros, de cada uno, en ponernos a buscar esas oportunidades que están ahí. Y mucha gente como nosotros, como los que estamos sentados aquí, nos encargamos de llevarlo a que ustedes lo sepan, mucho en mi vecindario y en todo mi distrito, a decirle, ok, mira, esto está ahí, que es bueno para ti y que es bueno para ustedes. Pero hay que tomar avance de esas cosas, y yo pienso que esa es la forma que nosotros podemos avanzar sin tener que estar hablando política. Pero yo estoy de acuerdo que la política está en todo, mi amor, hasta en la sopa.
Estoy de acuerdo con eso, y quiero también decir que todo el mundo no solamente se apoyan para ir para la fiesta, ¿verdad? Para la comida gratis, o la fiesta en el bloque, o they do like these big concerts por aquí. Todo el mundo quiere estar en la lista para esos concerts. Trotéame porque todo el mundo me llama a mí. I work for the mayor's office, and they all want to be on the guest list. Pero tienen que recordarse que el trabajo de nosotros, ustedes también lo pueden hacer. Y yo también quiero ir para mi casa a acotarme o comerme un plato de arroz, habichuela y carne, pero tenemos que trabajar mucho para que ustedes tengan las cosas gratis. Entonces tengo que decirle que por favor embúsquense, hagan some volunteering, just get involved, or shadow somebody, right? Shadow somebody that's already here and see what the day-to-day work looks like. Because it's a lot. It is a lot.
We do that shadowing in my office. We do it.
Okay, well, I want you to encourage you to make sure that all the other elected officials open up those channels for everyone else. But I do have a question. Sorry. Great. I do have a question for Larry. What role does cross-sector collaboration, for example, government, nonprofit, corporate, play in building stronger, more equitable communities? Especially like CLEAR. I know they work in CLEAR. I'm still not signed up, but hopefully one day I will.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that. So I had the benefit of being involved. I worked in city council. I worked in the nonprofit sector. I worked at Queens Library. My first job out of college actually was for Cardinal McCluskey Community Services. It's a foster care agency here in the South Bronx. And then after that, I went to work for Congress for a little bit. Went to work for Lyft, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and now at CLEAR. So I've had, it's run the gamut. Public, nonprofit, private now. And truth be told, the public sector simply does not have the resources to provide what our communities need. It's just, in an ideal world, we wish that were the case, but there is such a need that just doesn't exist right now. So that's why I think there's such an importance on these public-private partnerships and this cross-functional collaboration that we're speaking to. And the best learning experience for me was when I worked at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. My focus was the LaGuardia redevelopment project. So the new LaGuardia Airport, for those of you who have been able to see the new LaGuardia Airport, was a project that I worked on, and it was a $9 billion project. $9 billion project. How much of that $9 billion was the community going to see? And I think one of the learning experiences we had from that project was that we didn't have anything in the contracts with that LaGuardia project that said, okay, this specific amount of money has to go to the surrounding communities around LaGuardia. So what we were doing was we were working with the Delta Airlines of the world, LaGuardia Gateway Partners, who runs Terminal B, and other terminal operators and vendors to say, hey, we need you to invest in the communities. Can you do this? Can you do that? Really just strongly encouraging them. So we learned from that at the Port Authority once we started doing the contract with JFK, which is now a $19 billion project that is being worked on. But there's contracts in place to make sure that all these terminal operators, all these private companies are giving money to the surrounding communities. So let me backtrack a little back to LaGuardia. My job was to work with the surrounding folks and be like, hey, what do you guys need from this project? We created STEM programs. We created scholarship programs. One of the scholarship programs we created was the LaGuardia Opportunity Scholarship. And what that did was it provided kids from the surrounding zip codes with the opportunity of full 4-year scholarships to go to Vaughn College, which is an aeronautics college, engineering college, paid internships at the Port Authority, and then guaranteed job placement with the Port Authority upon graduation. So for the Port Authority, I think that what that cost was about $7 million for the amount of students we wanted to do out of a $9 billion project. And what I tried to make clear to the Port Authority, the suits up at 4 World Trade where our offices are, were, look, to you guys, $7 million is a drop in the bucket. That sounds ridiculous to say. But what they needed to understand was that by providing these scholarships, you're changing trajectory, you're changing lives completely. And one of the best examples of that was, I remember calling this kid to tell him, hey, you won this scholarship. He was from East Elmhurst. I thought nothing of it. The kid won the scholarship, good for him. He was super happy on the phone, thank you. So the first cohort, they invited us to the graduation 4 years later. He got up on the stage. He spoke about when he got that phone call. He said on the stage, he's like, I had just told my mom the week before, Mommy, maybe I'm going to take a year off before going to college because I know you can't afford it right now. We can't afford for me to go to college. But instead of that happening, a week later, he got a call from me saying, you're getting a scholarship, and now he's graduating as an engineer. It's changed the trajectory of his entire family. So these are small things that these public-private partnerships do. And that's kind of like, ever since I did that, I've tried to make sure that I've done that in any place I've been. When I went to Lyft, we made sure to come up with the Racial Justice Alliance, which was then we worked with nonprofit organizations throughout New York to provide micro grants to smaller nonprofits that couldn't afford to have like a grant writer on their team or folks that search for these big funding resources. So I guess I say all that to say that it's important for these public-private partnerships to exist. And the way that happens is we have to be receptive to them as well. Because I'll tell you, as someone who's worked on both sides, from a corporate standpoint, we have to figure out how it impacts our bottom line. They don't do it just for the sake of doing it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. No, we want to be good people. BS. you have to figure out, as a person who's advocating for these things, all right, how does this impact your bottom line as a company? These are the people that you're serving. This is how it's a broader audience. At Clear, for example, I told them, the Latino community, I think it's something like $9 trillion that we provide to the GDP, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
It's a lot of money that we bring into the economy. What are we doing to appeal to Latino communities? Because I was very direct to my CEO. I was like, I haven't seen one advertisement in Spanish. I haven't seen one promotional thing in Espanol. So, and she said to me, I don't know. I don't think we've done anything. I was like, let's fix that. It's a missed opportunity from a financial standpoint. So it works both ways, where the communities have to advocate. You have to have somebody from the community advocating for you. But then when you're there, you have to be sure to show them how this benefits their bottom line. You have to be tactful about it, strategic about it. So, it's just get out there, find these opportunities for yourselves, guys. I think the best decision I made was, I worked at the MTA for a short period. I was at the MTA doing government relations over there. Good job, state benefits, pension, all the fun stuff that comes with that. And I got a phone call from Lyft saying, hey, we want you to join the team. I had just gotten to the MTA, so culturally we're taught, put your head down, do the work, be grateful for the opportunity. I had a friend of mine from my time at the Port Authority who worked at Delta Airlines. He oversees the construction for the entire northeast of Delta Airlines, so he makes an obnoxious amount of money. It's ridiculous the amount of money. He said to me, he's like, dude, I can tell you this because you're my friend. He's like, know your effing worth. He's like, know your effing worth. He's like, you are good at your job. You can always go back to the public sector. You're a young guy, you can figure out ways to go back. Know your worth, go out there, make as much money as you can, because guess what? A 401k for the amount of money you're gonna make in the private sector is much better than a pension that you're gonna make on that government salary when you're starting off. So know your worth, find these opportunities and take advantage of them. After that, I reached out to Lyft, I said, hey, you know what, no commitments, let's talk. I joined the team, and when I told my mom, I was like, Mommy, I'm leaving the MTA. She said, pero mijo, ¿por qué? Es un buen trabajo, buena oportunidad, tienes buen título. And I'm like, Mommy, why does their floor have to be my ceiling?
That's a mic drop.
That's the thing. You have to know your worth and make sure you get out there, because you have to have a seat at the table to help other people out. So I hope I answered the question.
That was very inspiring. Thank you for that response. It sounds like Clear needs a Mocana to be working over there to make sure there's more Dominicans benefiting from this. I will say LaGuardia is close to where I live, and one of the things I just recently traveled, come back from there, I did appreciate that they have so much more shops and stores and a very long walk to the exit. But I did notice that there was not any Latino businesses inside there. And we need to be making money the same way these steakhouses are making money and these perfume shops. So that's probably the next conversation for us to have. So in essence of time, I think we have about 4 minutes, but I also want to honor everybody's schedule. I am going to go off topic and ask this wonderful lightning round. Name either your favorite book, podcast or novela that motivates you. Mira, muchacha, ellos algo que te está motivando todos los días. Either your favorite book, your favorite podcast, or like a novela or like a show, because yo sé que ahora hay muchos shows que están pasando por los YouTube y esos canales privados that motivates you. For instance, for me, I'm going to motivate you guys con mi respuesta. One of my favorite things, I have it here, espérate, que a mí no se me olvida. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. It talks about being impeccable with your word, so speak con integridad. Don't take anything personal. Eso para todos ustedes que siempre están motivados por sus emociones. Don't take it personal. Don't make assumptions. Be bold y hagan preguntas porque no, a veces nosotros la historia y los padres de nosotros nos dicen algo a nosotros and it's not true, ¿verdad? And always do your best. Siempre, los dominicanos no sufren de esto. We do our best for everything. Nosotros queremos la mejor fiesta, el mejor attire, el mejor alcohol, el mejor todo. So that's my favorite thing that motivates me. It's a very old book, and it's always inspired me forever. So how about you? A book, a novela, a podcast, something that is like your go-to, something fun.
So, yeah, I love it. So, number one, reading is fundamental.
Yes.
And if you look at any book, podcast, or novela that talks about the richest people in the world, and they have one thing in common, which is they read lots of books. So I read a lot of books. I am not rich, pero working on it. One of my favorite books is actually one I read recently called Let Them, which is
Mel Robbins, yes.
By Mel Robbins. And so it's basically about kind of letting go a little bit of trying to figure out everything and everyone around you and just let them do what they're going to do. You do your thing, and that's the way to be most successful. But the book I'm reading now is 107 Days by, can anyone guess? There we go.
Who was it?
Kamala Harris.
Oh,
It's her most recent autobiography about the 107 days in which she ran for president of the United States. It is a book, a podcast, and a telenovela. All in one.
Thank you, no nonsense.
So I encourage you all to read it.
Thank you for that. How about you?
Bueno, yo he leído muchos libros, señores. Pero ahora no me llega uno así, porque pero estoy leyendo 107, yes.
The
107 days, yes.
Okay.
The Kamala Harris. But I haven't finished the book, but I think, it's just, especially because we live that 107 days, we know what many things happen, and then we can compare. Oh, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like this, that it happened. I mean, all of those things. So I have it, and I have, but I remember one of the first books that I read, growing up, because everything was about politics. It was El Principito.
Okay, my mother gave me that book.
Yeah,
The Little Prince.
The Little Prince. Exactly. I remember that, but that was one of the first books that you read when you are in the community, when you're fighting for things, when you want to know exactly how it works. And that's the one that came to my mind, because I think that is like the platform that everybody that wants to needs to have. And I remember that I read that book maybe when I was 14 years old, but I still go and look it up a little bit. But for things that you want to put, but anybody that wants to read it, if we will talk to you about politics, how you have to know who the next person, who's the one who has near you, and you have which are the one that you have to go away from, and
it strategizes for you.
Yes, it strategize, because politics is just one of the things. But I think one of the big things that any one of us could do is read. Because I don't watch TV, let me tell you, I don't watch TV. I just read. But I don't watch TV much. And all the news and everything, I read it. But I don't watch any TV. I don't watch it.
It's good for your mind. Thank you for that. It's fun. Please tell me one of you guys had like a romance book or something like that. Like the Hallmark Channel o algo, no sé. A podcast, a
Pero yo
novela.
aprendí inglés leyendo Harlequin novels.
Oye, I guess.
So, todas esas novelitas de romance, that's how I...
Sí, eso, por eso es la novela. How about you?
I would say that I think like the point here too is when we're asking people to put a seat up to the table, it's not to just put up a seat to the table to just be another person at the table. You have to prepare, and preparation takes a lot of what they're saying now. For me, in terms of a book, I'll offer something else. I'm a certified executive coach, and in addition to books and podcasts and different things, there's this whole world of things called strengths finders, which is strengths finders.
Oh, strengths finders?
Which is predicated on this idea that you innately are so blessed with some gifts that are just unique to you, that part of your life's journey is to try to figure out who you are and what your gifts are that come naturally to you. And that come so naturally to you that makes it seem effortless, and to other people, you just being you and doing what you do seems like so impressive to them, but it's really a self-inventory and taking a self-worth analysis of what do you do well, what are the gifts and blessings that have come naturally to you, how can you develop them, and then how can you aim your life in places and spaces that honor your gifts, honor your blessing and allow you to do work that doesn't seem like work because it comes so natural to you. And that's kind of like the genre in which I operate around readings. And in terms of my last thing is that really identify someone that could be a mentor to you, right? Identify individuals that can mentor you. And then once you spend a good year, 2 years identifying mentors, then your next step is identifying someone who could be a sponsor to you. Because a mentor can help you figure things out. A sponsor is someone that can help you, once you figure things out, open up the right doors for you. Once you figured some things out. So do the strengths finder, self-inventory, self-assessments, identify a mentor, and then after 2 or 3 years of getting to know yourself, your gifts, your blessings, what you bring to the world, what you do naturally, then start identifying people who can be sponsors for a lifelong journey that can open up multiple doors throughout your lifetime.
That's great, thank you. Sponsorship is so important. I'm not talking about giving money for an event. Sponsors, those are the ones who say your name in the rooms that you're not there. They literally are your best point of reference to get you a job, to get you to that school, to maybe find you the love of your life. I don't know, for something, but sponsors would know the best version of you and then just like advance it and market it for you. So it's very important that you find great mentors in the field of interest and a wonderful 2 or 3 sponsors that can say your name. And for you, Larry, just to end it on this note, but for you, Larry, what a book, podcast, or novela?
So a book that I've recommended to a lot of people and recently recommended to my students at Queens College, Random Family by Adrienne Nicole LeBlanc. It's an ethnography that follows a family in the South Bronx for about 7 years, started in 1989 through the early 1990s. Highly, highly recommend that book. Every student that I recommended it to said I could not put the book down. It's a really good story to read. It's like a novella, to be honest with you. So highly encourage it. Definitely just want to echo what the book said. Like, find yourself someone who can mentor you, a sponsor, but at the same time, be self-reflective. Look yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, what am I doing to get to this goal? Am I taking the proper steps? Because it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm not doing it because so-and-so for these reasons. It's harder to look in the mirror and be like, yo, I screwed up. Like, let me take the necessary steps, put the work in.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. I want to thank all the panelists for being here, for finding time. I know the day has not been so grateful, like the rain hasn't been, although I call it raining romance. I appreciate everyone's input, what you shared, and I hope that all of you, ustedes, si tienen preguntas y lo ven por ahí, por favor, llámalen a ellos. Follow them on LinkedIn, on any social media platform, and or on your e-journals, you have our information. So thank you once again for coming. And I guess do we have time for a question or no? No? Okay. Well, we're going to stand up for the picture. So thank you once again.